Welcome to the Independence Bowl in Shreveport, Louisiana, where Terry Hebner prepares to coach the Miami Redhawks for the final time before he moves on to take over at Indiana. 1 year after losing 10 games, Iowa State arrives at Independence Stadium armed with its first conference title since 1912. And we prepare for the first meeting ever between the Redhawks out of the MAC and the Cyclones of Iowa State out of the Big 12, co-champions of the North Division. The man who replaced the man, Josh Betts, followed Ben Roethlisberger with more passing yards than anyone but Ben Roethlisberger in school history. Michael Larkin looks to extend his NCAA record for consecutive games with a catch. Iowa State's Bret Meyer is a freshman All-America quarterback whose most dangerous receiver is a fellow freshman, Todd Blythe, who also happens to be the most dangerous freshman receiver in the country.
And arrogance about him, which I like, and Shane Montgomery being named the new head coach, that gives you a tremendous continuity, keeping the same offense. I think Josh Betts is not only going to flourish tonight with the announcement, I think he's going to have a super season in 2005.
Miami wins the toss, and they defer, and we are underway in Shreveport. And Iowa State on the return by Ellis Hobbs.
Larkin says that he feels fine, that he can play. I did speak to Coach Hefner, who told me that he will not start tonight. He's going to ease him in and see how he does, Dave.
All right, and on the first play from scrimmage, Bret Meyer scrambles, forced into throwing the incompletion, chased by Derek Rehage of the Red Hawk defense. Redshirt freshman, Atlantic, Iowa, at a very young age, was adopted by Caucasian parents. He was wearing leg braces at the time as a young child. No one ever in a million years projected a college football career. Even through high school, he played for a 3A state championship, an undefeated high school team as a senior. His one offer came from the Cyclones, and his first toss, Blythe's direction, is incomplete. The Aflac starting lineup the rest of the way for Iowa State. Stevie Hicks will get most of the work in the backfield. Ryan Cook does most of the blocking. Blythe, the most prolific freshman receiver in the country. Davis had a few more catches. Barkema gets the start at tight end. And up front, they're led by Cale Stubby, senior out of Cedar Falls, a second-team All Big 12 selection and a 2-year starter. So 3rd and 10 from their 25. 3 receivers, all to the near side for Meyer, and time to step up and throw complete. And we'll see if they give John Davis where he caught it, which was right at the first down marker. He then went inside first down yardage, and we'll see where they spot him. Right on the 35 is where they placed it. And it is enough for a first. Dan McCarney, 10 years in Ames. He is the winningest coach in Cyclone history. And the Big 12 coaches voted him Big 12 Coach of the Year. 2-10 a year ago to a North co-championship. 3 yards away from an outright division championship. On his first keeper, Meyer, their second leading rusher this year, goes off tackle across the 40 as we check the Red Hawk defense. And up front, they go with Johnson, Roof, Burt, and Rich. Johnson, first team All-MAC. The linebackers are led by the Freak, or if you like, the Nigerian Nightmare, Turnanande from Grand Rapids, Michigan. In the secondary, Alfonso Hodge, second team All-MAC, as was the other corner, the fastest player in Red Hawk history, Daryl Hunter. On 2nd and 4, play action. And Meyer looks sideline deep, and it is incomplete again, going for his tight end, Ben Barkema. 3rd and 4 for Iowa State. And as these teams feel one another out, I think one thing may become apparent early, and that is the team that feels as if they most belong here. Bill, I think in all the bowl games we've done, the team that plays as if they expect it to come to the postseason, they expect it to win in the postseason, is generally the team that comes away with the win.
Well, I think that's a great point. And what we saw Nande there, showing that explosive speed he has to run into that football. He didn't even know when it was coming.
Meyer maybe deciding to keep too late that time as he runs into 3 white jerseys. First one to get there was Turner Nande.
Let's talk a second about Nande. You've referred to him as the Nigerian nightmare. And we asked him yesterday, are you really as freakish as you seem? He said, I just love the weight room. He benches over 500. He squats over 600. He has done as many as 43 reps with 225 pounds. That's more than almost anybody in the National Football League does at the combine. So he is really physically a powerful, very fast, very agile guy.
Troy Blankenship with his first punt down to the 15. Ryan Robinson on the return. Dangerous return game. Robinson reverses field. And across the 40 to the 42, a 45-yard kick, and he brings it back 27 yards. And the Red Hawks take it when we come back to Shreveport.
Return men in the country. And going back to 2003, had a monster year returning kicks. We're going to see a block here, Bill, that has some historical significance to it. Coming right up.
That's him.
You're right here.
Yep.
And we're going to see a block.
Adam Siborowski barely gets his head across for a legal block. And Adam has the, how shall I say, unpleasant distinction of having 3 touchdowns by Robinson called back because of clips. So he's an active blocker, but he has to get that head across. He barely did it.
Red Hawks on their first play give it up the middle to Luke Clemens, and the senior from Dayton, their leading rusher with nearly 900 yards, gets about 5 yards. Josh Betts takes over for Big Ben Roethlisberger. It's 62 to a very serious team leader almost overnight. Corey Kirkpatrick with the first catch and a first down. The Aflac starters, you've seen Clemens, you've seen Robinson as their leading receiver. Kirkpatrick gets to start, but we will see Michael Larkin try to extend his record to 50 straight games with a catch. And up front, probably the best blocker, Todd Londot, a 2-time second-team All-MAC selection. He may have to move to center at some point tonight because Dave Raker is expected to be limited because of a mid-season injury. He did not finish the last 2 games. Clemens breaking tackles to the 33 of the Cyclones and pickup of 10 yards. The Iowa State defense ranked 4th best in the Big 12 this year. And up front, Tyson Smith, a senior with 10.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, tops on the team. The linebacker core, Eric Anderson, a co-captain with Dobbins and Buchanan. And Ellis Hobbs, one of the best leaders we've seen for any team this year. First team All Big 12. And that doesn't begin to describe the contribution he's made to Iowa State football. His final game as a Cyclone, senior out of DeSoto, Texas. Miami on the move, another first down. And the throw to the near sideline intended for Kirkpatrick is incomplete.
Yeah, that was a mix-up outside. Betts was expecting one of his 2 wide receivers split out to the left to break off a route. And they both stretched their routes vertical.
Most common description we heard of the Miami attack, efficient, machine-like, and that pass batted on the pressure.
Yeah, that was a strong safety blitz by LaMarcus Hicks, and it should have been a hot read. And David, you're exactly right. The receivers didn't respond. They should have broken it off for a hit.
Betts wanted them to get their eyes back.
Clemens, maybe only one, began his career as a walk-on defensive back.
Now explain what you mean by get their eyes back.
Well, you saw Betts point with his 2 fingers to his eyes, and he was pretty demonstrative. I mean, I like this kid as a leader. He showed us some real confidence, almost an arrogance in the meeting yesterday. He's not afraid to lead this team. And when you talk about Ben Roethlisberger, he'll say, hey, Ben's a great guy, doing a great job at the pro level, was super last year, but this is my team now. He gives you that type of feeling. I love this kid as a leader.
But he wanted the eyes back on him, you're talking about, for the football.
That's right. He wanted the wide receivers getting their eyes back to the quarterback.
They blitz him on 3rd and 8. No gain. Mike Smith with the catch out of the backfield. The Iowa State defense gets some good results by applying pressure. Pass batted down on the safety blitz by LaMarcus Hicks. And they apply pressure here and force a 4th and long. 4th and 9. And they send Clemens back onto the field and an extra wide receiver, Josh Williams, and no punter. At this point, they figure, well, they punted the end zone. It's a net of 11 yards. Why bother? We like our chances of getting 9 yards better.
And I like the call, too, Dave. You're exactly right. That's a good call for that reason.
With time and way overthrown for Kirkpatrick. And the Iowa State defense comes up strong on the first Miami possession of the night.
Some of our viewers might say, hey,
LaMarcus Hicks coming off the edge again, and he got pressure, quick pressure on Betts, forced the errant throw. Really good defense.
We see so many punts that are not killed inside the 5. It's a hard thing for a punter to do, and you net 11, 15, 18 yards. I love that decision to go for it.
I do too. If you don't have confidence you're going to make that field goal from that range, you only give up about 10 yards. You're right, Dave, if the ball goes into the end zone on the punt.
Cyclones back to work. Stevie Hicks, a sophomore out of Omaha, Nebraska. Very durable. You can count on up to 25, 30 carries per game from Hicks. He went over 900 yards in the regular year. Only UTEP improved by more wins than Iowa State and North Carolina this year. Mike Price took the Miners from 2-11 to 8-3. Dan McCarty takes Iowa State from 2-10 to 6-5, maybe 7-5. Meyer out of the gun. Another throw into traffic and incomplete. A dangerous toss intended for John Davis. And it'll be 3rd and 10. 13 freshman All-America. Just the second Cyclone freshman quarterback to start a season opener. First to do it was Austin Flynn, his backup.
Here's what's happened to Meyer. He's got pressure coming from the middle linebacker. Rehays right up the middle, right in his face when he tries to throw the football.
Meyer only intercepted 6 times during the year. This one there. White turns this one back inside. There's no room there, and there is no Cyclone first down. He reaches the 37. So again, Troy Blankenship will come on. And again, he'll have to deal with Ryan Robinson, the MAC Special Teams Player of the Year. Last year, 2nd in the country in returning punts, 17 yards per effort last year. 5 times he has returned a punt for a touchdown. That's already the MAC career record. And he's just finishing up his sophomore season.
And the guy they've got to block is number 11, Ellis Hobbs. He is a great coverage guy. Here he comes.
Robinson receiving from Miami.
Unreturnable, probably the best way to deal with Ryan Robinson. Marked out of bounds at the 29. Miami will have it after just a 34-yard kick, but no damage by Robinson this time.
And Capital One. What's in your wallet?
They say, well, why an Elvis statue here? Well, October 1954, 19-year-old Elvis Presley made the first performance of his career right here in Shreveport Municipal Auditorium on the Louisiana Hayride radio show. You've probably seen film clips of it. And what happened to him after that performance? Anybody remember?
You think anybody in that crowd had any idea?
I actually do, based on the film clips of their response to him. So from the 29, the Redhawks with Mike Smith on his first carry, starter at the beginning of the season. Let's check in below with Alex Flanagan.
Dave, I'm with Miami University Athletic Director Brad Bates, who made a very important announcement before the game tonight, naming Shane Montgomery as your new head coach. What made you make the decision tonight?
Well, really 2 reasons. The first one is Shane's worthy of the position. We're very excited about it. He's going to keep continuity within the program. But secondly, we really thought it would give us a boost heading on the field tonight.
When did you make the decision?
Decision was made yesterday. It's been a very deliberate but very effective process, and we're very excited about the future.
The school is known as the cradle of coaches. It seems that it's been important in the past to have somebody that has a Miami background. How much did that play into the decision?
Well, certainly in continuity with the program, it was important to have Shane, even though he's not a Miami grad. But there's a history within that cradle of people who weren't necessarily Miami graduates. And I think Shane will continue the cradle tradition and history, and we're very, very excited about it.
All right, Brad. Well, congratulations.
Thanks, Alex.
Again, that announcement in the Red Hot locker room during Terry Hefner's pregame speech. That 37-year-old offensive coordinator, Shane Montgomery, will be his replacement as head coach. Chased on the blitz. Got it off just as the blitzer was arriving with mayhem on his mind. Tyson Smith, close to his 6th sack of the season.
Yeah, I'd like to point out something that I've cautioned against in the open to this football game. The team was so emotional. The way they responded was electric to the announcement that Shane Montgomery was going to be the coach. And that's how they're playing. They're not poised. They're not accurate. They don't look like the Miami offense that got them to this bowl game so far. They're going to need to calm down a bit.
They punted for the first time with senior Mike Wafzig out of Germantown, Ohio. Sending this one down to the 31 to Todd Miller. Miller at midfield. Cuts it back, tripped up at the 35-yard line. Each team has had a big punt return. This one on a 38-yard kick comes back 35 yards. 2 years ago, Miller brought back 2 for touchdowns. Came pretty close this time. Cyclones with by far their best field position of the night when they come back with 7 minutes to go in a scoreless first quarter in Shreveport in the 2004 Independence Bowl. Yard line of Miami. Easily their best penetration with a 1st and 10 and 3 wides. Redshirt freshman quarterback Bret Meyer, 2 out of 6 for just 15 yards so far in the early going. And met straight head on and driven back is Stevie Hicks.
By the monster.
The freak got him.
Turner Nunde. Turner vertical jumps about 44 inches, but he also explodes like he's shot out of a cannon. He's going to fill right here, and there's going to be a major blow-up, and the ball carrier goes nowhere after he makes contact. That's what happens when you squat 600 and bench 500.
And they think that he can get his reps at 225 on the bench up to 50. Talking NFL record there. Complete on the slant end to John Davis. And it'll be 3rd and 2.
Meyer's pass is complete.
Over 500 with the bench, over 600 with the squat, runs a 4.40 and jumps 38 inches vertically.
Yeah, when you have that combination of skills and strength, you got scouts drooling. And we've heard, you know, when you go to the combine, they count how many times you do that 225-pound bench press. And we've heard that he may break the all-time record at the combine. Pretty impressive for a linebacker.
Option, toss to Hicks. Breaks the tackle, comes very close for a 1st down. It was almost wrapped up behind the line by Jared Rich. Hicks was able to keep the lean forward. And where they have him spotted, it may not quite be a 1st down at the 24.
Well, Bill, you talked about the emotion that Miami's going through, the announcement of Shane Montgomery, the head coach. How about Iowa State? You know, a 25-yard field goal, or take your pick, 1st and 3, or 1st and goal at the 3 in overtime from winning.
Against Missouri.
Against Missouri,
yeah.
From winning the North Division and going to the Big 12 championship game, and the disappointment that they had numerous opportunities to win that game down the stretch. It's such a devastating loss for Dan McCarney, and you kind of wondered coming into this game how they would react off that loss.
Well, they've come out with a lot of vim and vigor, and we've seen big plays in the kicking game, and that's not unusual in bowl games, because the one thing you can't do in bowl practice is go full speed in the kicking game. You can't go down there and tackle your returners and get that good practice. So you have to wait until you get actually in a game like this. And that's why that's one reason you see some some big plays early. Now we come to a big fourth down play. Short yardage and goal line is something you can practice in bowl preparation. Let's see what happens.
You saw about a foot they need, and they try to get it on the sneak. And Meyer drives forward and will have it with ease.
Yeah, nice
David, you're right.
ability there.
This year, the stars were aligned for Iowa State. Nebraska was down. Kansas State was down. The schedule was in their favor. If they make a 25-yard field goal, they are the outright world champions, never having won a conference title since 1912. It didn't happen. They had to settle for the four-way co-championship at 4-4.
Yeah, David, who did they miss playing? Who did they not have to play?
Well, they didn't play Texas. They didn't play Oklahoma, and they didn't play Texas Tech. And all three of those teams are in monster bowl games.
On the fake to Hicks. Rolling right, pulling up, throwing left, and complete at the 6-yard line to Todd Blythe.
Well, Todd Blythe is a big old tall drink of water, just a kid. He left his good socks at home, so when we did our interview yesterday, he had on a pair of tennis socks with his dress shoes that came up just over the edge, and we teased him about that. And then we asked him about the great corners that Miami had. He said, he looked us right in the eye. He said, we're going to find out if those guys can run. Daryl Hunter, who's supposed to be a lockdown corner, just got beat by that cocky freshman.
Hicks on the carry on 1st and goal, maybe a yard and a half or so.
Yeah, that was a nice route on that prior play by Blythe, but how about the throw from Bret Meyer? And we talked about how close this team came to winning that North Division with a freshman quarterback. And you know, to watch that tape, Bill, as we broke down that tape, it's so tough to watch because Iowa State is not going to get many opportunities like that one they had in the game against Missouri.
From the 5, 2nd and goal, and on the option toss, looking for the corner, turning it, touchdown. Stevie Hicks puts the Cyclones on top.
What a wonderful job by the fullback, Ryan Cook, the lead blocker. This is just a down-the-line speed option. They forced the pitch. Ryan Cook, 31, boom, on the ground. Matt Pusateri, the leading tackler. This is a guy with 86 tackles on the year. You can't tackle when you're on the ground because the fullback drills you. Nice execution.
Bret Culbertson took over after 3 freshman walk-ons. Each tried and failed to take the place-kicking job. And he drives this one through 7-0. Culbertson missing only 2 kicks all year. Unfortunately for Bret, one of them was the 25-yarder, which would have wrapped up the Missouri game in regulation. Stevie Hicks, with his 5th touchdown of the year, puts Iowa State up here in Shreveport. 4:04 in the first, and a 7-0 lead for Dan McCarney and the Cyclones. Maybe the signature win of their season. November 20th in Manhattan. Down 23-9 in the 4th quarter. Iowa State would mount an unbelievable comeback. 28 unanswered points. Bret Meyer, Todd Miller, 3 yards. Stevie Hicks, 20 yards. LaMarcus Hicks, 40 yards on the interception return for the touchdown that put it away and got McCarney drenched. 37-23. Their first victory in 16 years in Manhattan, Kansas.
What'd you call that, David? A direct hit?
Yeah, Bill, you've had a couple Gatorade baths in your time at Georgia Tech, Alabama.
They're wonderful.
And that was a direct hit. That had to be cold.
3 touchdowns in the last 3.5 minutes in that game. Hicks from 5 yards out with the first touchdown of this game. And terrific coverage by the Iowa State special teams on the return of only 4 yards. Hobbs does a little more than just play cornerback, as Daryl Hunter has no place to go.
Mr. Hobbs, one of the better leaders, one of the most impressive people we've met this year. Watch him cover a kick. Watch him tackle in the open field. Look at the knee bend, the head up. What a beautiful form tackle, and he does it all the time, David.
I loved him yesterday, meeting with him. He's one of the great leaders that we've met with all season long, as you said, Bill. And I think there are big things ahead for him, not only in football, but in life and in his career past football.
A lot of life in the Cyclones right now, and Miami responds quickly. The slant to Ryan Robinson over the middle and good for 16 yards. Best pass thrown yet by Josh Betts.
Yeah, that's significant because that's Ryan Robinson, who's had an ankle problem, and we really worried about whether he was going to be able to play. He was hobbled in practice, but he looked really good on the punt return, and he looked nice making that catch.
Leading receiver for the Red Hawks, 57 catches, the MAC Special Teams Player of the Year. Betts rolling after the play fake and drops at the 27. Iowa State continues with good luck every time they bring extra pass rushers.
Iowa State, defensively, you've got to have a game plan against this Miami passing game to really create some pressure and get Betts out of his rhythm. And you do that with blitzing. You do it bringing some linebackers on the outside, because if you let him throw in rhythm, Bill, he can pick you apart. He's that accurate. He makes great decisions.
Sean Moorhead was a walk-on until 2 days ago. It was announced after practice that he would be one of 3 former walk-ons awarded scholarships. Already academic all Big 12. That's for a loss of 2. We'll have our first penalty against either team tonight. And that's nice to say with 2:49 to go in the first quarter.
Well, it's tough as a quarterback. When you're getting pressure in a game, you want to fasten those defensive linemen down.
Ball start. Number 2, offense. 5 yards. Still second down.
You want to be conscious of fastening those defensive linemen down by changing up your snap count. The problem is you start changing up your snap count and you can get your offensive linemen moving a little bit early.
I beg your pardon. Offensive linemen don't make...
Well, I talked to some of your old teammates, and they said you never snapped the ball on the wrong snap count ever. They said you were...
They were lying.
2nd and 12 turns into 2nd and 17, and Betts belted by Tyson Smith on what appeared to be a quarterback draw that never got untracked.
Here's what's happening with the Iowa State defense. Their fine defensive coordinator, John Skladany, who's made steady progress over the last 6 years as the defensive coordinator, made it clear we're going to come after these people. This is a nice stunt. This was not a blitz, but it was a what we call a TE stunt. The tackle looped out. Tyson Smith, the defensive end, came up inside and made the hit. They're giving a variety of looks to this Miami offense.
Loss of 5 more yards. 3rd and 22. 4 wides, better protection, and Betts with time to hang one up deep. It is way out of bounds, intended for Kirkpatrick.
Kirkpatrick gave Betts a look there like, come on, keep the ball in bounds for me. Give me a chance to make a play at least.
You know what, David? The Miami offense is not responding well to the pressure.
No, and Iowa State, defensively, you look back, there's defining games in a season, and obviously the Missouri game was a defining game. The Iowa State defense came up big. They gave their team every chance to win that game and get into the Big 12 championship.
Wofsik standing on his own 3. His second punt of the night is a good one. And Miller lets it go. He returned his first effort, 35 yards, to set up the touchdown. This one goes 54 yards. Well, tonight after our game, Capital One Bull Week.
Back when Notre Dame played Oregon State, and the way the Oregon State players acted on the field, there may be some payback in that football.
Hicks, fresh from his touchdown, takes the toss, close to 10 yards. They'll mark him out of bounds at 9.
41-9. There was undeniably some intimidation that went on, and you'd like to think that that wouldn't happen in college football, but unfortunately in that case it did. And I think it probably was the beginning of the demise of a great person, Bob Davie, as the head football coach at Notre Dame. Graduated 100% of his players, didn't break any rules, did not get to keep his job.
Hicks breaking tackles. And pushed back after he will be given first down yardage at the 40.
You know, it was interesting, Bill, too. There was another Fiesta Bowl game that Notre Dame lost back in the late 90s to Colorado. And I think those two games were the first big games that really started to spotlight Notre Dame and really the dip in the athletic ability compared to some other speed
what you saw
versus other programs.
Did you see the note SportsCenter had? Something like almost 80 different schools have won a bowl game since Notre Dame last won a bowl game in 1994. That is incredible.
Wow.
Keeping Meyer ahead to the 44. A very steady Iowa State offense. With under a minute to go in the first quarter, nears midfield, up 7-0.
The really obvious conclusion to what we're talking about here with what's going on, not just with Notre Dame, but with other big-name programs, is that's not Bob Davies' fault. That's not Tyrone Willingham's fault. That's not any one person's fault. Yet they're the ones that take the lumps. ESPN is the winner in the Davie case because we get to have Bob on our team, and he's a great analyst and a great guy.
Shotgun for Bret Meyer on second down and 6. Steps aside from pressure and keeps again at the 47-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 3. Derek Rehage with pressure, and Daryl Hunter follows Meyer all the way to the 47.
Right, now Rehage is a middle linebacker, number 38. You're going to see him as Meyer sprints out. The middle linebacker, there's no blocker for him. He's the one that disrupts the play. Meyer can't set his feet and throw the football. Neither does he have a place to run. The pursuit is allowed to catch up. Nice job by Derek Rehage. That's the 3rd time that's happened tonight.
End of the first quarter, Iowa State looking for just its 2nd bowl win in history. On top on a 5-yard touchdown by Stevie Hicks, 7-0 in the 2004 Independence Bowl. One of the picturesque sights in Shreveport, Louisiana, Riverfront Plaza, near the banks of the Red River. The 2004 Independence Bowl in Independence Stadium, led by Iowa State, 7-0. We welcome you back. Second quarter begins at the 47-yard line. Cyclones looking at a 3rd and 3. Having converted one of their first 4 third down opportunities. Keeping out of the gun, spinning ahead for the first down. The elusive Bret Meyer, finally brought down by Matt Pusateri.
Well, this Miami defense likes to play 9 men up near the line of scrimmage. They've got 2 great cornerbacks on the outside, and what they'll do is they'll get those safeties up near the line of scrimmage. A big key coming into this game was the play action game of Iowa State. Could they get the ball down the field? But they've also been using some fakes in the backfield to free up Meyer with his feet.
And Meyer, their leading rusher here early with 20 yards on 6 keeps. This time he lets it go on the roll. And another first down to the 36-yard line is tight end Ben Barkema. Let's go down to Alex Flanagan.
Hey, Dave, well, you guys have mentioned Iowa State's dismal season last year, a 2-10 season that head coach Dan McCarney says was embarrassing. He sat down all of his seniors at the end of last season, told them that it was an embarrassment, told them that this is not what the program was built on and that they needed to turn things around. Seniors like Ellis Hobbs and Smith said that they did not want to go through a year like they went through last year. And one of the biggest things, one of the biggest differences this year, Dave, seniors say, is the team chemistry. They say last year it was kind of like a business atmosphere, but this year the players get along off the field and on the field, and it shows.
Yeah, the defense was very patient, waiting for a young offense to finally kind of get its sea leg deep and incomplete, intended for Blight. It is a very young team, one of the youngest we've ever seen. 86% of the Iowa State points this year have been scored by freshmen and sophomores.
Well, remember this team, you know, off what Alex just said, this team started 0-3 in conference. And you're right, Dave, big problems early in getting some chemistry between a young quarterback, a young offensive line. Really, this Bret Meyer and this offensive line grew up together, and after that 0-3 start, they really started to gel down the stretch.
Settled on a QB, settled on a kicker. Ended up with wins over teams like Nebraska and Kansas State. And Meyer reaches the 30, where it'll be 3rd down and 4. John Glavin Very useful backup defensive lineman. Backs up at both the tackle spots on the stop.
I am just so impressed with Bret Meyer. I cannot believe that he had one scholarship offer. Barney Cotton, the fine offensive coordinator who came over from Nebraska after that staff was fired with a 10-3 record, and he did not leave with a good taste in his mouth about that scenario, needless to say, says that the chemistry, as David just said, has just been marvelous. This whole team unselfish.
Looking for a cutback alley. Finding one is Hicks to the 22-yard line. Stevie Hicks, another Iowa State first down.
Let me finish that thought. Cotton started out with a 2-quarterback system, just not really sure that Meyer could handle the load being a redshirt freshman. But he said along about the Kansas State game, they got into the fourth quarter. They were behind 23-9 in Manhattan, a place they had not won since 1988. And he said the young man just took charge. And he's been the leader ever since. And that's what we're seeing tonight.
You know why Barney Cotton really loves Bret Meyer, don't you, Bill? A win against Nebraska.
Hicks up the middle. He has been elusive. That time, patiently picking his way off tackle all the way to the 12-yard line, and very close for another first down.
Well, Hicks is a very strong running back. And he's an exceptional blocker, a good back out of the backfield catching the football, even though Iowa State doesn't like to use their third choice much in the offense. But you give him some creases, and he's going to soften the defense as the game goes on.
Give him 9 to the 13, 2nd and 1. And Hicks again. It's left. Marco is down. Hicks reaches the 7 if the play stands. Brought down by John Beesing, strong side linebacker. And Bill Lamonier, leading a Big Ten officiating crew, will bring this one back on the first Cyclone penalty of the night.
Both these teams do a marvelous job in the penalty area. Very few penalties. They average a little...
Holding, 58 offense, 10 yards, previous spot. Repeat, 2nd down.
That penalty on the right guard, Seth Zare, they average just a little over 4 penalties per game. I'm talking about both teams now. That's coaching. That's attention to detail on the practice field. And you see how devastating it can be when you do make a mistake. Now they're way back outside the 20-yard line, and they got 2nd in the world to get down to first down territory.
Back to 11 yards to go on 2nd down. Rolling left, throwing that way, a one-hopper intended for John Davis.
Well, that was interesting. Dan McCarney talking about Iowa State and his approach to taking care of the football in the turnover department, to being disciplined in terms of penalties, having great special teams units. He says, hey, we don't have the athletes, we don't have the talent at Iowa State that you have at the other schools across the Big 12, and that's the way that we can close the gap.
From 2-10, -6 in turnovers, to 6-5, +9, 15th best in the country this year. One of the most consistent stats year in, year out. Teams with good ratios have good one-loss records. Very close to a first down on the keeper, Bret Meyer, near the 11-yard line, brought down by Brian Tyson. And they should give him a first down, and they do at the 11.
Hey, looking back to that Missouri game, Meyer went out with a sprained ankle, a badly sprained ankle, came back in the game, but you just wonder if he had this kind of acceleration late in that football game, would it have meant the difference? Bill, I think he's got that ankle back.
I do, and when you blitz him, which is what they just did, you better have somebody spying, because he can pop it.
He's got 92 of their 124 total yards. First down, 10 to go at the 11. And the throw, the corner of the end zone for Davis, underthrown and incomplete.
Don't be surprised if you see Todd Blythe on the fade here. The big guy, almost 6'5". And when I said he was cocky a while ago, I meant that in a positive way. I meant that as a compliment.
What do we think about the fade pass? It seems to be less and less successful every year that goes by. Defenses seem to be onto it. Is it a consistent weapon to be gone to as often as coaches still do?
I think it depends on personnel.
I do too, but also, you know, defenses and individual defenders find ways to defense plays as the years go on, and I think cornerbacks have gotten better at playing that route.
14th play of the drive is a handoff to Stevie Hicks out of the shotgun near the 6-yard line.
Now, the fade route, Dave, is a bit of a sore subject, and I know at least I keep talking about the Missouri game because it was such an intriguing drama down the stretch. But, of course, it was a fade route outside on the interception in overtime that sealed Iowa State's fate in that game. And, with the wind, I don't know if the fade route was the right call on third down. The tough throwing conditions in that game.
It seems to be there are more and more people who detest the fade because it has to be perfect.
Well, you may be getting ready to see it right here.
Third down from the 5, and that one is going to be overthrown with contact, but no flag coming Blythe's way. He looks up and asks for it and gets nothing.
Uncatchable ball. Poor throw by Blythe.
Well, and
Daryl Hunter is on the coverage, and our man just absolutely fell down.
Well, it was a nice job by Hunter playing the fade, and you never really can get away from the fade down in the red zone because when you're facing press coverage, if the corner isn't let you inside, there's not a lot of other options you have to score in terms of routes at the wideout position.
22-yarder for a 10-point lead. Bret Culbertson, the true freshman out of Des Moines. No angle. And right through. So just under 11 minutes to go in the first half. Dan McCarney's Cyclones with a 10-0 lead on Miami. Before the game, that 37-year-old offensive coordinator Shane Montgomery would be promoted and take over as head coach for him. Bobbled back to the 4-yard line before Hunter can at least make the 11. Near disaster, just an 8-yard kickoff return.
He's done a super job.
His offense needs to get a little something cranking now, and they get Luke Clemens driven back. Even as Brett Curvey loses his helmet in the process, he figures it was worth it.
For consistency in their execution.
Play fake on 2nd down and 12, and the deep ball is broken up and incomplete. Intended for Michael Larkin, who did not start tonight, recovering from those multiple stab wounds suffered earlier in the month. Looking tonight to keep his record streak going and make it 50 straight games with at least one catch.
Well, he had a great practice day before yesterday. I got to watch it, David, and you didn't get to see him, but you really like this guy covering him, don't you?
I do. I mean, Jackson really made a nice play on a fairly well-thrown ball. Ball might have been just a touch underthrown, but nice recovery by Jackson.
Larkin, 49 straight games with a catch. Old record was 47 straight. 4 held it. On the swing pass, up across the 22-yard line is Mike Smith. He needed the 22. This may be an interesting spot. Smith, a starter at the beginning of the season, injured in Game 7 at Buffalo, but back to 100% for tonight. By the way, we will chat with Ben Roethlisberger in a few minutes, and he'll also be on as a halftime guest. The sensational rookie quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And I have to say this, Roethlisberger's fine offensive coordinator now is Kenny Wisenhunt, who's one of my former players at Georgia Tech.
Asked me about Ben Roethlisberger were the back-to-back games with the Eagles and New England and the comeback against the Dallas Cowboys. He's shown that he can lead a team down the field with the game on the line, and that is a rare quality for a first-year quarterback in the NFL.
I have never seen a rookie quarterback do that. Never. It may have happened before, but I cannot recall seeing it, and I've been a part of or observing the NFL for longer than you have been alive, David.
He sure throws it well on the move, too, Bill. For his size, he gets outside the pocket, and something that they did very well here a year ago in Shane Montgomery's offense, getting him on the move, boots and nakeds, getting him outside, really has a nice knack for throwing the ball on the run.
Short by foot, so Mike Wafsig will again punt uncomfortably near his own goal line. Miller at the 35. Can't even get back to where he brought that punt in. He loses 2 after a 44-yard kick by Wafsig. And a timeout, 9:08.
Comfortable approval on the sidelines. They are starting to get some confidence. Offensive coordinator Barney Cotton said to them, we are the blue-collar, more physical team, he said, and Miami is starting to believe it, Dave. He said, let's keep reinforcing it. He told them, watch out for the blitzes. He said, Miami is liking to blitz.
Barney Cotton, last year Nebraska's offensive coordinator for the 10-3 champions in the Alamo in San Antonio. From the 33, second down. And the same look. Meyer rolling right and keeping, but tripped up after a gain of only about 1.
Yeah, he's sick about that, too. That's 2 big plays that he just flat tripped there. That's just human error. And then the missed throw. Little bitty things, and he'll get all that corrected. Just remember, he's only been the true starting quarterback for 4 or 5 games. And he's just very impressive to me.
Well, and I think he's got great poise, and his throwing ability's coming along. He's got a nice athletic delivery. And Dave, you make a great point on not putting a lot of air under the ball. You know, as you get into November and late in the season up in that Big 12 North, if you put the ball up high in the air, the wind and the conditions are going to take advantage of the football.
Hicks, nowhere to go. Miami closes ranks right at about the line of scrimmage. And they really needed to get a stop right there.
Well, they're going to need to get another one, because I got a feeling they're going to face another offensive play here on 4th and 4.
This is exactly where in the first quarter Miami decided to go for it on 4th and 9. This is 4th and right at about 4.
Interesting call here for Barney Cotton. And you know, we talked to Barney Cotton earlier this week. Actually talked to him last week, and he made a point of saying that the win against Nebraska this year for Iowa State was very gratifying.
Watch out for the option here.
Well, Meyer looks to throw. And knocked away from Miller. Todd Miller leaps, gets his hands on it, cannot hang on. And the Red Hawks get a stop on a 4th and 4. Absolutely necessary with the troubles their offense has had in trailing 10-0. 27 plays, so it is at least a well-rested Red Hawk offense that goes back to work. And Ron Robinson bounces off the first hit and reaches midfield, the very near it.
Another thing Shane Montgomery, offensive coordinator and new head coach at Miami University, told us is what they learned about Betts. Josh Betts does best when his feet are planted and he's standing in the pocket. He does better there than when he's on the move, as opposed to Roethlisberger, who really could do both. They like him in what you just saw. Good protection, nice throw, nice run.
18 yards on Robinson's second catch of the night from the 49-yard line. It was to Mike Smith. He gets through some hits. 100 yards per game this year. The quick toss. Corey Kirkpatrick gets about 7 to the 32. And Betts may be convinced they
and get it on your receiver, so a receiver has a chance to do something after the catch. You got Hobbs on the outside, not much opportunity after the catch there, but a nice job of putting the ball on your receiver quickly by Betts.
To the ground on 2nd and 3, and Brandon Murphy with his first carry, getting nothing. Tomorrow night, 8 Eastern on ESPN. Capital One Bowl week continues. Vernon Morency and the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
In the game, they call him lightning in a bottle. They'd like to get a big play or two out of him in this game. Round up at tailback.
3-step drop. Almost intercepted. Should have been. Absolutely would have been for DeAndre Jackson. A touchdown had he held on.
Josh Betts, Bill, made a cardinal mistake by a quarterback. He didn't get his eyes outside to the danger before he started to deliver this football. I mean, you got to get your eyes outside. DeAndre Jackson, the corner, closing. Jackson really should have been in the end zone the other way on that play.
I really think we're seeing a Miami team that's a little unsettled because of all the distractions with the coaching change.
4th and 3 on what has been their most promising drive of the night. Betts Running out of room. Incomplete. Intended for Larkin. So they get it.
About the fact that his coaches acknowledge that this is not his strongest suit. You can see he doesn't really get his shoulders around. He doesn't really put anything on the football to give his receiver Larkin a chance to make the catch for the first down.
Still plenty of time now for the Cyclones to move it down and add to the lead. They go to Blythe on the end around. Blythe knocked out of bounds by John Beesing.
Todd Blythe on the reverse for Iowa State.
A 10-0 lead for Iowa State, which on its last 3 possessions had 1 3-and-out and then scored on the 7-yard drive set up by Miller's 35-yard punt return, and then last time kept it 16 plays, almost 6 minutes, and settled for the field goal.
You'll see Blythe going deep soon again because he was wide open the last time he was missed.
Fake to Hicks. Meyer running out of room and run out of bounds at the 37.
Well, Iowa State's taken advantage of the aggressive safety plays. We take a look at Shane Montgomery working with Betts on the sideline. But Iowa State is going to have to use some more of that play action, as you mentioned, Bill, to get Blythe down the football field and get some opportunities to take some chunks. You got to make a defense pay for playing this style of scheme.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why he was so far behind the safeties, because the play action is so effective. They got their nose up in there, anxious to be involved in the running game.
Blythe, top freshman receiver in the country, wide left. He is the target, and he reaches back and cannot make the catch at the 48 of the Red Hawks.
Nice job by Jared Rich there. Excellent pressure with a good spin move to the inside. And had he not done that, that would have been a completion.
So the Miami defense getting a stop and a quick 3-and-out. Troy Blankenship preparing to punt to Robinson, who has already shown once tonight how dangerous he can be.
I wouldn't kick to him.
Yeah, big part of their plan was what they call directional punting. The last time they punted away from him.
Well, not this time. Robinson with a head of steam. Drive Robinson inside the 40.
I wouldn't kick to him.
Yeah, directional punting, that's a technical term, but I think they may want to utilize that here from now on.
That is a net punt of 1 yard. 46 on the punt. Robinson brings it back 45, depending on the flag.
Holding number 26 of the kicking team. That penalty is declined. Change of possession. First down.
Jamar Buchanan guilty. Miami again, great field position. Well, with the Miami offense stalling repeatedly, there's the best weapon they've had. Ryan Robinson on the punt return. He brings this one back 45 yards. And you'll see Kenny Segan back up tight end, maybe saving a touchdown.
And when we talked to him, I asked him specifically, what's in your mind when you're catching a punt? He said, absolutely nothing. He's really fun to talk to because he doesn't give you these staid answers that you expect. He said, everything kind of goes blank. He said, now I will sort of look while the ball's in the air, and I say, okay, this guy's coming from the right, and I'll think about that a little bit. But when I catch it, I don't think anything. I just try to run to the daylight.
He has a moment of total clarity.
First down pass, deep, one-on-one. They pick on the toughest corner they could pick, Ellis Hobbs, first team all Big 12, and come up empty. Second down and 10. Miami, 4-and-out, 3-and-out. Finally kept it for 6 plays, 37 yards, but misfired on a 4th down last time.
This Cyclone defense has come up with a great scheme in this game because they have not allowed Betts time to get rhythm in the pocket, number 1, and number 2. They are creating some problems for the wide receivers on the outside, a talented group of wide receivers. Fake
to Clemens. Short toss. for a very short gain. First catch by Josh Williams. Nick Mosier is right there for the immediate hit. And they'll give him a yard. 3rd and 9.
Well, Nick Mosier, along with Steve Paris, are two safeties. They don't get as much notoriety as Hobbs, the cornerback, but you know, the Iowa State defensive coaching staff said these safeties were a big part in the defensive turnaround, and Mosier and Paris teamed up on a great play at the end of the Missouri game in regulation, a fumble and a return that put their team in position to win that game in regulation.
Third down, a very long 8. They need to get to the 29-yard line of Iowa State. And Betts squeezed, tipped up, and incomplete. Going for Ryan Biesing. The Iowa State defense impregnable. And on 4th and 8, no punter heads onto the field.
They're just stepping up, playing man free. Everybody's covered all the way around here, 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 here. 5 men covering man-to-man with a free safety in the middle, and nobody is getting open. Just locked up. Beautiful man coverage by the Iowa State defense. Nice job by John Skladany and his defensive charges.
And I can't help but think Larkin's health. You know, the concern coming in this game was the health of Robinson and Larkin not being available on the inside much, Bill, is, I think, affecting this offense.
He's assuming they don't fake. Watson, 3:31 to go, trying for field position. And he angles that one perfectly down at the 1-yard line. Can't do it any better. So maybe the defense can come up with the first red-hot points of the night. Iowa State backed up to its 1-yard line when we come back with 3:22 in the half here in Shreveport. Had the best rookie season by quarterback certainly in at least 20 years since Dan Marino popped on the scene, and will be halftime guest of Reese Davis, Trev and Mark in 3 minutes and 22 seconds.
The nicest announcement Bill Cowher ever heard.
would be pretty devastated and not available in that type of announcement.
Sobbing.
Out of the end zone. Meyer decides to keep. There's some room there. And forced out of bounds by John Biesing, twin brother of Ryan. Clock stops, 3:16.
Yeah, and our man, Turnanande, with the great speed that time, was simply outrun. He took over for the middle linebacker as the force man on that quarterback sprint out, and he was outrun that time, and he supposedly has 4.5 speed. If he does, Brett Meyer has 4.4. Nice move to get it off the goal line by the young QB.
2nd down and 4. Cyclones have all their timeouts. Stevie Hicks into the secondary. He has the Iowa State touchdown. He also has a gain of 16 more yards.
Now, they described Stevie Hicks as a workhorse style runner. And you give an Iowa State offense under Dan McCarney over the years some opportunities between the tackles, and they're going to continue to test you until you can stop the run.
13 for 56 now. Hicks, one of their young up-and-coming stars, just a sophomore. Meyer, the redshirt freshman, will again angle out of bounds at the 27-yard line. Pick up about 4 more, and they're using the clock extremely efficiently with 2:46 and still all 3 timeouts.
And the whole theory of punting the ball and nailing them down inside the 5-yard line, and even at the 1-yard line inside the 1, the whole theory is that you stone them there, make them punt out of the back of the end zone, get a nice return, and you get field position. It's not in the cards. It's not in the plan to let them come off the goal line like they're shot out of a cannon.
Hicks again. And not much this time. Driven back by Pusateri, all-time leader Miami history in unassisted tackles, a former walk-on.
And the style of offense that Dan McCarney runs at Iowa State, a lot of offenses right here, Bill, would be trying to score, get the ball down the field, add to the lead. But Iowa State is conservative. They play to their defense. And I think as much as anything right here, Dan McCarney wants to work on this clock a little bit. If the opportunity to score presents itself, fine. But take some time off the clock and make sure you have at least a 10-point lead.
I think you are exactly right.
Third down and 3, a 2 tight end look. And an option. Hicks with the pitch. With the cutback. Nande grabs him shy of the first by about 1.5 yards.
Man, what a nice play by Nande. I mean, just sprinting inside out. He outruns the running back, Hicks. Drills him, gets him on the ground, doesn't get dragged so that Hicks makes the first down. Now they force the punt. And that's the idea of the field position thinking.
That was a super play. It really looked like Hicks was going to pick up the first down, and Nande not only makes a tackle, he gives, you know, his team an opportunity to call a timeout and put some points on the board before halftime.
Second timeout. Miami with 1 more left. 2 minutes and 11 seconds. You guys surprised at the domination by Iowa State? This is Big 12, big-time BCS conference against the MAC. This is arguably the highest-profile bowl bid ever given a MAC team. So far, Miami is looking outclassed.
I am surprised. I thought it would be very even. I thought maybe Miami might even have the edge. And, of course, we've got another whole half plus of football to play, and they may yet show that they have the edge. But right now, they look like the team that has less speed, and they're a little bit tense.
I've been impressed with Iowa State's defense. We talked about it earlier. They did a super job getting this team in position to maybe get into that Big 12 championship game, and they have not disappointed against a very high-powered offense.
I wouldn't punt the ball to this guy.
I think we've proven that by now. Blankenship has learned from experience. Keep it away from Ryan Robinson.
There comes a time when you get the point.
Hey, they figured it out.
32 yards, but no return. Tonight after our game, Capital One Bowl week continues. ...2004 Independence Bowl. Affecting this bowl, among some others, giving a great shot to a MAC team. Betts breaking tackles and making like Meyer his opposite number. That should be a first down, the 47, where Steve Parrish gets him, give him 11 yards, but a flag down.
Yeah, I think this play is coming back, and a nice play by Betts. He got the first down. You want to keep the clock stopped. Miami should be in a no-huddle status here with 1 timeout left. Plenty of time to score, but you don't need blocking infractions after you pick up a first down.
Bill Lamonier.
Illegal block in the back. Number 2 on the offense. 10 yards, spot of the foul. Still first down.
On Robinson.
Ryan Robinson, the offender this time. And if you're a Miami person, fan, player, coach, what you'd really like to see is some rhythm here on offense. And that's a word you used a few minutes ago, David. Some offensive rhythm. Go down the field and at least get something on the board before the half.
There's time. There's 1 more timeout. There's a lot longer way to travel now. On first down and 12. Looking for room through the middle is Robinson. Very little.
As the time ticks down on this clock, I don't like the inside screens to the wide receivers because, you know, in a first and long or second and long situation, the odds are you're going to get stopped before the chains, and that takes off too much time off that clock. A little bit early to worry about the clock here, but you got to get moving.
4 on the rush, incomplete. Hobbs makes the play in front of Robinson. Ellis Hobbs, the team MVP. 4 interceptions, including the game clincher against Kansas State.
Lockdown corner, Bill.
He is my MVP for the season, not only as a corner, but as a human being. Sitting with him and talking with him yesterday and having him look us in the eye and talk about his family and his faith and how it has guided his life. He's the right kind of guy to be a role model in this country that sometimes gives too much adulation to athletes.
Here's a flag back at the 29-yard line being discussed by this Big Ten officiating crew.
Holding 77 offense. 10 yards, previous spot. Repeat, second down.
On Chris Fessel.
Well, this Miami offense better get moving, or this is going to turn out to be not a real fond memory for Coach Hepner.
They still don't have 100 total yards. This team that's averaged 408, 33 points per game. Their average 20th best in the country. They're not even really close to scoring yet in our first half. Now a 2nd and 19. And among 3 defenders, the catch is made by R.J. Corbin at the 38-yard line, good for 11. And with that, they will use their final timeout. Well, again, if you just joined us, you may not be aware that as Terry Hepner coaches his final game for Miami, the announcement made in the locker room before kickoff tonight that his successor will be their offensive coordinator, Shane Montgomery.
The next head coach at Miami University, Shane Montgomery.
So with that, there was clearly no lack of pregame emotion. Montgomery, their 4-year offensive coordinator, 37 years of age. He'll be the youngest Division I-A coach in the country next year. But clearly that emotion did not translate into anything that we've seen on the field tangibly so far.
And it looked like a couple happy coaches, happy about their new jobs right there. But you're right, Dave. And Bill, you mentioned it at the top that the emotion can work for you, but sometimes it can work against you.
I think it's really hurt them tonight. They're trying so hard to do well for their outgoing coach and their new coach.
This is a big down right here. You pick up the first down, you got plenty of time on the clock to pick up points.
If not, 3 timeouts and plenty of time for the Cyclones. Count, big play. Robinson to the 33-yard line. The biggest play for the Redhawks here in the first half. A 29-yard gain.
Well, that was a nice throw, Bill. Shading the receiver to the outside. And when I mean shading him to the outside, the defender's going to be on the inside, and Betts is going to lead him away from the danger. That was DeAndre Jackson on the inside.
That's right. And the other thing you notice is that was his 3rd receiver. He had his progression down. He went left to right. He found his man. He made the perfect throw. Protection was good. They're starting to look like a Miami offense.
Riders asked Hepner, does Ryan Robinson have a nickname? He gave him one on the spot. Highlight. There is their first half highlight. Betts' arm may have been hit as he delivered that one incomplete.
It was. That was Sean Moorhead, number 40, coming off the left edge. And that's the most dangerous thing that can happen to a quarterback. If you get your arm grabbed as you're beginning to bring it forward. Here he comes off this side. You grab that arm like that, and that sometimes is rotator cuff disaster. Unfortunately, it looks like there was no harm done except to spoil the play.
With 35 seconds, 2nd and 10. That one he spikes. He didn't mean to, but in effect it's like a time-stopping spike.
Well, he got pressure from Tyson Smith, and I think Betts wanted to save this throw, and the ball just came out of his hand. Tyson Smith really creating some problems off the edge, and Betts feels the pressure. No, he got a hand. He got a hand on the throwing arm. Nice play by Smith.
That's twice in a row he's had his throwing arm grabbed. And here's another thing. Sometimes when that happens, your arm goes numb.
That's a fumble, Bill. I think that's a fumble.
It doesn't matter what you think.
He got to the ball there before that arm started forward.
I happen to agree with you, but obviously the officials
they don't. That isn't the first time.
See it our way.
3rd and 10. Whistles. Flags.
Bad call on Tim Robbins. Bad call on Tim Robbins. He did not intend to hit. He did not intend to hit Betts. He bumped into him, tried to avoid him, and they're going to flag him for a personal foul, and it's going to be a first down. That's too bad.
Lengthy discussion led by the referee Bill Lamonier. Now the ruling.
Two dead ball fouls. Delay a game. Offense. Charge to number 8. That's a 5-yard penalty. Following the delay of game, we have a dead ball, personal foul. Number 44 in the defense. Headbutt. That 15-yard penalty
boo because
results
they
first
don't
down.
understand the rules. This time they're right. Tim Dobbins, terrific middle linebacker, is just playing football here. He does not hear a whistle. He's trying to avoid him. He doesn't even, he barely touches him.
Bill, as a former quarterback, I'll tell you what, you know, not many quarterbacks enjoy headbutts.
That was not a headbutt, David.
Even after
gentle bump.
It was a gentle headbutt, but it was a headbutt nonetheless.
It was just a chest rub. It was a chest rub. It was nothing. You can't protect you guys from being touched all the time.
3 more flags.
7 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Fessel, 2 flags on him.
You know, and arguably Miami shouldn't still have the football here.
Miami's offense is badly rattled. I really think they're just so desperate to do well for Coach Hepner and Coach Montgomery. I just think they're pressing. They're trying too hard. That's what it looks like to me.
Out of timeouts, 1st and 15. They need the 13-yard line for a first. Betts going deep. Clemens, touchdown. Luke Clemens out of the backfield, 28 yards. Red Hawks score with 25 seconds to spare. And Clemens with his 3rd touchdown catch of the year. Their leading rusher shows that is not all he can do.
What a marvelous job of protection. Pass protection was beautiful. That's the reason he had a chance. That's the reason Betts finally had a chance to set his feet and deliver the football.
For the extra point, Jared Parsegian, great grandnephew of the famous Coach Era, and he makes it 10-7.
Well, they slipped Clemens out of the backfield on an up route. You're going to see him right here, and he's going to get to the sideline in a hurry. He's going to isolate against the linebacker, and this is a beautiful touch throw. He's working against Henry Poulard, and that ball is thrown very nicely to the outside.
And it's amazing how well you can throw a football if you're a real good quarterback and nobody's knocking the stuffings out of you or grabbing your arm. Josh has had a rough time. His tackles have had fits with those ends coming off the corners. That time he was allowed to stand in the pocket, step up, and make a perfect throw. So now we got us a football game.
Miami really the beneficiary of a call that I think was missed when Betts fumbled in the pocket and Tyson Smith got pressure. I felt like Tyson Smith got to the football before Betts' arm moved forward.
7 plays, 64 yards. The only extended drive of the night for the Red Hawks. Here's what David's talking about.
Yeah.
The arm's going forward there.
Well, but also as you look at it, and hopefully we can take one more look, the ball is loose. It is loose from his throwing hands. He doesn't have, I think the ball is starting to come loose from his hand as he moves it forward. Watch right there. Now the ball is.
I think he's got control of it. I think that's an incomplete.
You know, from that angle, Dave, I got to agree with you. The ball did not come loose, but Tyson Smith really got a piece of his arm. Oh, I'll tell you what. From that angle.
Make up your mind, David. Would you please?
I'll tell you what. Those are some of the problems that they face in replay at the NFL level.
It's really hard to argue with you when you change your position every
I know. You
12
can't take a position against me.
Todd Soderquist, high short kick. They're caught at the 30, and Iowa State with 25 seconds. And if they want to, all 3 timeouts.
Excuse me, Dave. You should say, I don't think you understood what I thought I said.
Before I said it.
at the 30-yard line.
It was interesting to see it from a couple angles, though. Something's forced that ball to come loose and make him throw it straight down.
You had it right when we saw the rear angle. It was clear he still had control of it.
That was before he changed his
But that was
mind.
before I saw
the last time he changed his
That was before I saw another angle.
You're the master of equivocation, David, tonight. Not usually. Not usually. Usually you're very forceful.
Iowa State will settle for a 3-point lead for most of the first half. They clearly outplay Miami out of the Mid-American Conference, but the Redhawks finally get a drive and points as Betts hits Luke Clemens. 11 out of 23 for 134 yards and that touchdown, and it is 10-7 as we reach halftime, and Alex Flanagan is with Terry Hefner.
Wow. Coach, what was going through your mind tonight before the game after in the locker room you announced your offensive coordinator was your new head coach?
Well, you know, Brad Bates and Shane and I, we talked about it, and we thought it'd be good for the team to know, Alex. And I don't know, maybe that's a first in the history of college football, and you guys covered it live. So you talk about a first half now. I'm really proud of our guys. We hung in there. Our defense hung in there, and we finally got some points. We needed that.
Before that announcement was made, you told your team focus, don't be distracted. How focused are they tonight?
Well, I think we're doing a great job. You know, that was the obvious. We've had so many distractions from injuries all year, to me, to the snow, to the cold weather. So really, really proud of the way these guys are playing. Hopefully that was their half. Our half is coming up.
How do you think your offense has responded tonight to the pressure that Iowa State has been bringing on defense?
I'll tell you what, I'm really impressed with Iowa State's defense. I mean, they have really taken it to us. We just got to hang in there. We've got to make some adjustments. We're going to make some adjustments at halftime and hopefully get some better matchups than we've had.
All right, don't lose your voice.
All right, thanks, Alex.
All right, thanks, Coach.
One more half as the head coach of Miami got a chain problem. That's the
Reattached it. I mean, it's close to 10 yards now. Yeah, no one will know.
In this age of technology,
Laser beams.
Then those would malfunction. Then what do? Bring out the chains. On 2nd and 9, some good protection and incomplete through the hands of Robinson.
Josh Betts knows that he made a perfect throw on this ball.
that was a beautiful throw, but when you're being harassed by a corner that's right in your hip pocket like that, it's a little bit tougher to concentrate. And I'm agreeing more and more with you, David. I like DeAndre Jackson along with these three other outstanding corners in this game.
This year, Iowa State's run defense, their best since World War II. Their pass defense among the 20 best in the country, way overthrown. And they have not been able to find a way to get Michael Larkin into this game, the all-time leading receiver in Miami history. Still without a catch, still needs one to keep his streak alive. He is the all-time record holder, 49 straight games with a catch.
Pass interference, defense, number 14. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
On DeAndre Jackson.
This time Jackson jumps this route a little bit too aggressively, and I'm not sure this would have been a completed ball. This ball is thrown high, but there's some contact, and Mr. Jackson finds out that the officials aren't going to allow the hand play with the ball in the air.
Definitely did look uncatchable. But Miami gets the 1st and 10 up at the 36.
Here's the odd front. They'll bring everybody from this front.
Off tackle. That's a good yardage by their standards tonight by Mike Smith, senior from Twinsburg, Ohio. Injured midseason, back to 100% for tonight.
Now, when I say odd front, I'm talking about a man on the center, 2 other down linemen, and then a variety of linebackers and DBs behind them. And this is the blitz front for Iowa State. And you can see that they were going to bring 6 from that odd look or that 3-man front. It turned out to be a running play, so they altered their course and ran to the football.
Smith gets 7, 2nd and 3. And Dan Tyler, the tight end, moves
normally, but they've already been penalized 6 times tonight for 43 yards, and that's not the kind of thing you expect to see.
So much for 2nd and short. Now they need 8. And again, Smith weaves into an ankle tackle. by Steve Paris.
We had this monofilament that we used. We didn't use chains to catch fish.
In trouble and sat hard inside the 35. The blitz works again for the Cyclones. Tim Dobbins, Nick Leaders.
I think Betts is still feeling the effects of that hit. You know, Josh Betts is a very tough quarterback. We watched him in the MAC championship game. He'd sit in and make throws, but Iowa State's starting to arrive. And Tim Dobbins really brings the helmet on that play. Betts felt that one.
Big 12 defensive newcomer of the year, junior college transfer. Makes it 4th and 9. Tosack along with Leaders. And a flag on the punt. Todd Miller. Out of bounds at the 36. 36-yard punt if it stands. And the indication against Iowa State by Bill Lemonier, referee from his Big Ten officiating crew.
You see that expression that says, how can you be holding on that side of the ball?
Well, we'll ponder and consider a response during the timeout. And Betts throwing on the first down, and he's complete down to the 40, inside the 40. Is the tight end, Dan Tyler, first catch of the night, just his 12th of the year, goes for 15 yards.
Dave McClain, number 59, is the long snapper for Miami. He's lined up here. 26, Jamar Buchanan's going to grab him and pull him away from the line of scrimmage in order to try to open up a hole for a blocker to run through. That is against the rules. That is defensive holding. A very good call, an alert call by this officiating crew.
And the Red Hawks take advantage of a huge break. Betts keeper all the way. Not the runner, his counterpart Meyer is. And again, we see it as he stumbles at the line of scrimmage.
Did you see that move at the end of the play? That wasn't quite Chuck Foreman at the Minnesota Vikings at the end of the run. Remember Chuck Foreman, Bill?
I remember Chuck too well. We played against him too many times.
Remember how he used to reverse spin at the end of a run? Betts was trying to pull off a Chuck Foreman there and couldn't quite pull it off.
Yeah, that was what we would call a 180-degree semi-reverse spin onto the posterior.
It was an aborted reverse.
Back to what he does best. A heave, a man open deep, and a leap for the grab. Caught at the 9. R.J. Corbin ruled to make the catch for 30 yards.
And this is not a catch. I was wrong earlier on the fumble by Betts, but this is not a catch in my estimation. I don't think he hangs on to this football. Another great throw by Betts. And watch right here. Does he keep control of the football? I don't think so. I don't think he ever had control. And I wonder how an official sitting on this play doesn't pick up that ball coming out this early.
I think he did. I think the fact that he rolled over on his back, had it on his stomach, is the reason they gave him the catch.
They give him the catch for a 1st and goal at the 9. Smith reversing field. Mike Smith with a flag down is down inside the 1. A foot and a half away from the goal line goes Mike Smith.
Looked like Josh Williams, number 4, a wide receiver, holding on Nick Mosier, the fine safety, number 9.
One more look here. And I think I'm with David on this. I'm not sure
number 4
that
10 yards,
constitutes
spot of the foul.
possession.
He's on the ground with the ball on his stomach, and he has possession. Then it comes out. I'm just telling you, that's the reason they gave him the catch.
That's clearly the call.
Well, I just think you've got to display possession of the ball for a bit longer than that. That ball was coming out, and I don't think he really secured that football before impact.
Erasing a near touchdown run by Smith. Now it's 1st and goal back at the 14-yard line. And the option toss. Clemens maybe backs his way for a yard. He has the only Miami touchdown.
Here's what happens when you run a little bit of option. Josh Betts doesn't really execute the option the way it should be. The definition of option is you run at the inside shoulder of the end man on the line of scrimmage. In this case, that's Sean Moorhead, number 40. He never gets there. He pitches the ball too early.
Didn't exactly bring back memories of Jamel Holloway at Oklahoma.
Maybe a little bit more like David Norrie.
Exactly. Exactly.
1 yard. Second down, 13. Goal to go. The 11th play of this opening drive of the second half. Gunned over the middle. Another flag as Hobbs goes over Robinson for the breakup. And they may get Hobbs for the pass interference.
Yeah, they're going to hit Hobbs, and that was some aggressive play outside, Bill.
Pass interference. Number 11 on the defense. Spot foul. Automatic. First down.
This is some of the most, some of the stickiest defense we've seen cornerbacks play, and definitely he's got his arms around him there in front. Too much contact with the ball in the air. That's not not a hard flag to drop on the field, but this is some of the tightest play we've seen from corners on both teams, Bill, that we've seen all year long.
They're all up in their face. It's fun to watch.
First and goal from the 7. And it's Smith up the middle to maybe the 2. The 3 at least. Well, to 2.5. Second and goal from there.
What that allows the Iowa State defense to do is to play the run with fully 9 players. They're going to man up on the 2 outside guys. If there are more than 2 receivers, obviously they're going to man up on them as well, either with nickel or with safeties. And then they're going to dedicate everybody else to the running game, which makes it tough to run it up in there.
It allows you to blitz some too, create some extra defenders to come from the linebacking core.
2 tight end looks. Smith is the setback on second and goal. Gets the handoff. Backs his way for a touchdown, and Miami takes its first lead in the Independence Bowl.
This is what happens when you let somebody hang around the way Miami did. They weren't doing anything. They were totally dominated until the last drive of the first half. Now they've come out, and we said they were going to show what they were made out of, and by golly, that's what they're doing.
They are now not only ahead for the first time, outgaining Iowa State for the first time. And it was a better than 2-to-1 edge for the Cyclones most of the game. This point is blocked. An Iowa State specialty, and they get another one, and they keep it a 3-point game.
That wasn't Nick Leaders again, was it?
Who? Nick Leaders, the squatty nose guard that just has a feel for it.
Todd Soderquist has a kick block for the 2nd time this year. Iowa State's 9th blocked kick. 4 now have been on PATs. So they have to settle for the 6th without the controversial call. It never would have happened. Mike Smith, one of the top touchdown scorers in Miami history, gets his 26th rushing touchdown of his career. Iowa State then blocking its 9th kick of the year to keep it 13-10. Hobbs, the senior, knows better than to bring that one out. Iowa State was here just 3 years ago. December 27th, they took on Alabama. And in the 4th quarter, trailing 13-7, Andrew Zhao would look for Terry Jones, 27 yards, and a touchdown that put Alabama back on top. Cyclones, though, would battle back. Tony Yelk missing a 47-yard field goal with under a minute to play, and Alabama would get the win. Still very controversial in Iowa State's memories. They think that kick was good. Ruled not to do. 13-13. Bama was that final, and Bret Meyer keeps it as Iowa State finally gets to snap it for the first time in the second half.
Going back to Culbertson's kick with about a minute to go in regulation against Missouri, that kick was clearly not good. And going into that key kick at the end of that game, Culbertson had been 7 for 8. You know, we talked to Dan McCarney, and first thing he told reporters after that game is we wouldn't have been in position to to get into that Big 12 championship without Culver's.
Stepping back to throw on second down. He still looks up, decides it's better to run it. Reverses field and is run out short by maybe a yard of the marker right at about the 28.
Talking to Barney Cotton, the offensive coordinator for Iowa State, he mentioned his two big rangy wide receivers, John Davis and Todd Blythe. And this is play action trying to get to Blythe, but he was well covered down the field by the safeties. Pusateri and forced the run. Now you got 3rd and short. Adjustments have been made as promised by the Miami coaches.
Everybody in tight, and slamming on his first carry for the first down is Ryan Cook. In fact, his first carry of the season. Cook gets the first and about 5 extra. Down to Alex.
Hey, Dave, well, I spoke to a frustrated Dan McCarney during the half. Frustrated because he thinks that his team should have shut out Miami in the first half, and frustrated because he thinks that instead of 10 points on the board with the yards and first downs that his team has had, they should have more like 24 points on the board, Dave. He's happy with the pressure that his defense has been able to put on Miami, but frustrated that they don't have any turnovers, any takeaways yet, something that has been a strength for Iowa State all season, Dave.
Meyer on the keep, run down from behind by Derek Rehage, the middle linebacker.
Well, in this offense, you know, Alex talks about Coach McCarty being frustrated. This offense is not a quick strike offense, and they talked about getting some play action, getting some receivers down the field, but Bill, they haven't been able to do that. They haven't got much production in their deep passing game.
Well, they did it. They did it with Blythe, but then they missed him. They overthrew him, and they need to come back to that with the play action on these safeties. Everybody's within 6 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Rehage gets credit for a sack on 2nd and 11. In traffic, there's Blythe, and there's a first down at the 46. How did he pull that one in or make it Barkema, the tight end, good for 12 yards in a big crowd?
That was a breakdown in the pattern by the Iowa State receivers. You don't want 2 receivers within a couple yards of each other, and Barkema is still going to make the reception. You see these 2 receivers just together. That's a mix-up. Barkema and Blythe, and still they get away with the completion and the first down.
Maybe Blythe was there just for the tip drill.
Or maybe Barkema was. We'll never know.
Maybe Blythe's caught 39 balls this year. Barkema's caught 3. He's not going to give one up when he sees one. Going deep for Blythe, incomplete. Single coverage by Darrell Hunter.
Well, they missed it again, but that's okay. That you got to go to those things. You got to do that to keep the defense honest. Make them believe that you're going to do this. Darrell Hunter's on the coverage. He got him turned. He got inside. The ball is overthrown again by such a margin that Blythe doesn't have a chance to do what he does best, which is to go up and take it away from people.
Well, and he threw the ball back out over Blythe. If he leads Blythe forward, Blythe has got that big frame, and he can hold the defensive back off. All Meyer has to do is give him something to work with on that throw.
But at least they put it up.
2nd down and 10. And Stevie Hicks is crowded in the middle. Barely makes the line of scrimmage. Hicks, who has the Iowa State touchdown, had 60 yards at the half and is just now able to carry it for the first time here in the second half. It will be 3rd and right at 10.
Now here's the downside of putting it up like that when you throw it as poorly as Meyer has thrown it. Joe Palcic, the defensive back and co-coordinator of the defense for Miami, is going to keep playing man until Meyer shows that he can throw the ball accurately down the field and deep.
His 3 targets lined up to the right. Way short of the first down is Miller, and Miller having to make about 8 yards on his own after that catch. Comes up 3 short.
Now, this is another interesting decision. I think Iowa State will punt, but you know, we've already seen 4 fourth down conversion opportunities in this game. When you get into a bowl game like this, you don't have a heck of a lot to lose, and I think that's why we've seen some tries on 4th down.
Might see a fake right here. Miami's not in their safe punt. Look.
Robinson's already broken 2 big ones tonight, waiting for this kick from Troy Blankenship. covered. Very well covered, in fact. And nowhere for Robinson to go. Ryan Baum, the outstanding gunner, meeting Ellis Hobbs there. -1 on the return this time. 8th Air Force Museum. Over 70 B-52s are on active duty. Half a football field long, wingspan of 61 yards. Barksdale represented. We're at Independence Stadium tonight. 13-10 Miami. They take over at their 14. And Betts, plenty of time, has to heave it over his own bench. Still has yet to hook up with Michael Larkin, the nearest receiver. Still at 49 straight games with a catch, and nothing so far tonight. Last 3 possessions, 3 and out, and then they closed the first half going 64 yards for their first touchdown. They opened the second half going 80, 31 of those 80 yards on penalties, 3 first downs on penalties. They finally get the touchdown by Smith on the 12th play.
But clearly Josh Betts is starting to get into a groove and get some rhythm in the pocket on those last 2 drives. And on that last play, Double Tights had all the time in the world to get the football off.
Luke Clemens, just a couple, and a 3rd and long coming for the Redhawks. This is where penalties killed the Iowa State defense on the last possession, including one on a punt, a defensive hold on a punt. Miami had already given it up and got it back and took it.
Iowa State only had 65 total penalties. They averaged 47.5 yards per game, and they far exceeded that tonight already.
Betts with his receivers spread out on 3rd and 7. At the 27, and it's incomplete. Intended for Ryan Beesing. But we again have a flag, and the flag is from about.
Forced to put that up early. And a personal foul against Miami. And Betts was forced to put that ball in the air early and threw it just a touch behind Beesing.
Personal foul, number 75 offense. Hands to the face mask. That penalty's been declined. 4th down.
Mark Crasian, the tackle. Guilty party, so Terry Hefner sees a quick 3 and out and sends Watsig out for the punt. But a quick 3rd quarter, less than 4 minutes to go. 13 unanswered Red Hawk points. Very high kick. Fairly short, and Miller lets it bounce, and it takes a Miami bounce inside the 35. Dead finally at the 33. Watsig gets a 50-yarder. Boy, that gorgeous shot just makes you wonder if perhaps something slightly askew might be in store tonight. In the Independence Bowl, led by Miami 13-10.
Makes me wonder whether there's life out there. Dave.
Can't answer that, but back to the game. Brett Meyer, leading passer, of course, and rusher tonight.
There's life out there. It tangles up chains and stuff. Makes chain crews get screwed up like fishing line.
Not much doing over the middle this time for Stevie Hicks.
Now we saw in that package that really Brett Meyer's getting it all done for this offense. He's leading the team in rushing in this football game. You know, he had 54 yards at halftime. He's extended those rushing numbers, but they still are in dire need of some vertical threat and to hit a ball or two down the field on play action, get these safeties away from the line of scrimmage.
Blythe just 3 catches, 42 yards so far. He went in motion, and Meyer looking his way. Out of bounds. Incomplete. Let's go down to Alex.
Hey, Dave, well, while Bret Meyer has been the leader of this team tonight, he likes to think of himself as a very quiet leader. Only one time this year has he gotten up in front of the team and addressed them. It was before the Nebraska game. He says that he heard that Seneca Wallace, Iowa State's former quarterback, was a very quiet guy who didn't say much, but when he did speak, his teammates listened. And Meyer says that's exactly how he wants to be. Not the guy that talks every day, but when he does talk, his teammates will listen to him, Dave.
Yeah, the E.F. Hutton approach. And if it weren't for Seneca Wallace, why not try it if you're Bret Meyer? Maybe the greatest quarterback ever, just a couple of years back. Deep, has a man open, caught! John Davis then drops it. He drops it as he's about to step into the end zone. Mercy. In just his 4th year of organized football, and sometimes he looks it.
This is just a perfect throw on the deep ball. Meyer takes a little bit off it. He recognized he has a wide receiver running just clean down the middle of the field. And wow, you want to just get over to the sideline and hide under the bench after one of those. Missed opportunity.
That's going to take some recovering. That is a guaranteed lead if he just hangs on. Iowa State bounces time for Blankenship on the punt. And dead at the 22, 44-yarder. Davis left with his thoughts and a 3-point deficit.
That matchup.
You know, going back to that flashback, the upset Breeze and Purdue upsetting Kansas State, that was on the heels of that devastating loss by Kansas State in Big 12 championship game to A&M.
Now, they went from a spot they thought in the national title game to losing in the Alamo. Ryan Biesing with the angle, and he angles out just 2 feet shy of the first down marker.
I know you guys are going to cover your ears, but that year, that was another example of the BCS working perfectly. 5 one-loss teams left to get into the game. Luckily, luckily for Bobby Bowden and Seminole backers, Florida State got into that championship game against Tennessee, I believe.
Undefeated national champion Tennessee. Now, that was one year where it wouldn't have made any sense to have another game after the BCS because there was a clear Tennessee national title.
That's true. That's true. And you remember there was 5, count them, 5 great one-loss teams that year. You had Arizona, UCLA, Ohio State, Florida State.
While I pass on the opportunity to argue some more with you on this subject, Miami just did a brilliant thing. They rushed to the line of scrimmage, got down in their 3-point stances, snapped it on the quick count, and made the first down. Iowa State was ready on defense, but they couldn't get the play stopped.
That's with the first down sneak up to the 33. 1:33 to go in the 3rd. Miami dominated quarter. Play fake Betts. Fake carried out very well. Deep, still trying to hook up with Larkin, and almost picked off by Mosier. Larkin still 0 for the night. The streak still not stretched.
Nick Mosier played this play beautifully from the safety position. And, you know, when you're playing 2 deep safeties and you got a deep ball, an offensive team trying to hit the post down the field, you want to make sure you have great depth. And Mosier gets great depth over the top.
Yeah.
That's taking a crack down the field, but watch Mosier close. Really should have come up with the interception.
Yeah, the ball was underthrown, too.
Michael Larkin trying to come back from 4 stab wounds suffered just a few weeks ago, including one serious puncture wound in his upper chest and left bicep as Clemens carries.
You know, Larkin, you know, the all-time leading receiver in this Miami program, and I think they've really missed him tonight. It's obvious he isn't 100%. He's the guy that really works the middle of the field from the slot position. So effective for Betts, and they've been missing that aspect.
He wasn't even sure that the doctors were going to allow him to play, and he was so anxious to do it, and he wants to be out there, but I got to think that the play calling is affected by the thought of him going across the middle and taking a shot in the wrong place. You have to think that may be going through the coach's mind.
The wrong place is where he admits he was at the wrong time. Early morning, December 5th. Over the middle. Incomplete for Ryan Robinson. Hobbs there with the coverage.
Well, you know, Coach Hefner has a saying that I think is a great saying for young athletes. He says, nothing good ever happens after midnight.
My father taught me that when I was 16 years old. I didn't believe him, but it turns out he was right.
That was too late, Bill. He shouldn't have waited till you got 16. But I'll tell you what, Hefner's right, especially, Bill, you know it better than anybody coaching kids at the college level. You get frightened about the prospects of your kids out after midnight.
You sure do.
No charges or anything like that against Larkin. He simply was part of the scene that got out of hand in the wee hours and was victimized. Miller goes nowhere on the punt. A punt of 38 yards down to the 29-yard line. After we complete our duty here in Shreveport, on to Phoenix. More Capital One Bowl week. Notre Dame, Oregon State in the Inside Bowl around 9:45 Eastern from Bank One Ballpark, downtown Phoenix. Can Notre Dame finally win a bowl game? They haven't in 10 years. 79 schools have won a bowl game since the Irish.
Maybe the bigger question, will Charlie Weiss turn things around? Stay tuned.
Meyer, option to Hicks. Gets a nice block on the corner, turns it upfield, almost turns it into a huge gainer. As it is, he gets about 15 yards out of it.
Really a nice job by Meyer on the speed option. He doesn't come downhill on the option much, Bill. He's got more of a bellied approach on his option, but a nice job dishing the ball off.
It was a nice job, and these quarterbacks are playing so hard, and in most instances playing so well, they really need some help from their receivers. They need somebody to make some plays with and for them.
Hicks now at 77 yards, 20 shy of 1,000. And give him 4 more here on the last play of the third quarter. At one time up 10-0, the Cyclones searching for just their second bowl win ever. Their first was the Insight 4 years ago, where they beat Pittsburgh. 13 unanswered points put up by Miami. We head to the fourth quarter, 13-10, Red Hawks. Miami out of the Mid-American Conference, 13-10 over Big 12 North co-champion Iowa State, which has a 2nd and 6 on their own 48 as we start the fourth quarter. Brett Meyer rolling left and throwing for Todd Blythe, batted away. You cannot do it better than Frank Weewo, the free safety, just did it.
Frank Weewo's had to learn on the job. Miami's had big problems losing 2 of their free safeties this year, and Weewo had to move over from corner. He's a very slight guy. You can see he's not thickly built, but he looks like a good free safety when he does that 360 and tips that ball away. What I like about Iowa State is they're continuing to go to the deep ball, and sooner or later one of them's got to catch one because they're being thrown pretty well.
We will play that like a corner.
Miami almost impossible to beat with a lead to protect in the fourth quarter. Wide open Miller with a first down inside the 40 of the Red Hawks. And a gain of 12. Todd Miller, their blue-collar third wide receiver, senior out of Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
Well, Meyer really looked nice in the pocket, just sliding laterally and buying time. You know, Miller had a great game against Missouri, 5 catches, really came on late in the season, but all of a sudden Meyer's starting to look comfortable in the pocket.
Option keeper. Meyer, look out! A touchdown saver, perhaps. That looked just for an instant before Alfonso Hodge got there as if it might turn into a touchdown. As it is, it's 11 yards for Brett Meyer.
David, something you said a few minutes ago is true. He does not go downhill into the line of scrimmage. He goes parallel. I have not seen the option run like that in a long, long time. But when he cuts it up, he has a nice cutback lane, a better angle, perhaps, and perhaps that's the reason he's coached that way. Maybe that's a Barney Cotton technique.
He sets up his runs well, that's for sure.
They've reached the 27. A Another Meyer keeper right through the middle, and that might be the hardest hit he's taken all night. Delivered by Marcus Johnson, first team All-MAC defensive end.
And that's what you worry about with Bret Meyer. I mean, they run him so much from that quarterback position. Really, when this team started to gel down the stretch, they switched this offense to a shotgun approach, more running from the quarterback, more passing as well. But, you know, Bret Meyer's, you know, he's basically 6'3", 205. You worry about the punishment he can take running the ball as much as he does, but been holding up pretty well.
He's a tough guy. I like both these QBs.
And Meyer will call the first time out of the second half. Lightly recruited, signed with the only team that gave him a scholarship offer, Iowa State, and trying to take them to their second bowl win in school history.
Make something happen for each other, okay? Let's go. Come on, here we go. Let's go. Offense on 3. Come on, John Davis. Give me that good look.
Get in here, baby. You got it.
John.
You make the play next time.
Open your eyes and look at me.
Let's go, baby.
You're going to help us tonight. 1, 2, 3. Offense.
You're going to make the play, baby.
Iowa State offensive coordinator Barney Cotton rallying his team after John Davis dropped what could have easily been a touchdown pass. First one to kind of say to him, hey, John Davis, look me in the eyes. He told his team, we've got playmakers. Keep your heads up, you guys. Everyone needs to make plays, not just the wide receivers, Dave.
Meyer, another keeper all the way, turns it back inside. Meyer leaping right at the goal line and not quite in. He's a foot shy, 23 yards. The run of the night for the redshirt freshman from Atlantic, Iowa. First and goal inside the 1.
This run takes him to the century mark. You would think of the tailback would carry 19 times for 100 yards. But it's the quarterback in this case, and he got it down inside the 1-yard line. Excellent acceleration and great toughness on the part of a slight quarterback.
And the give on first down for the touchdown. The fullback, Ryan Cook, had not carried the ball all year until he gets it twice tonight. And this time he takes it for the Iowa State lead.
I hope his mom's watching. 2 carries in 1 game. Wow. How about that?
Got to be exhausted. You know, they touched the ball once. He had 1 catch for 3 yards. Suddenly he plays a key role in an Iowa State comeback.
Well, he's a heck of a blocker. He's been doing his job as a blocker, that's for sure.
Big extra point, big because Iowa State blocked one. Brett Culbertson nails it, and it's the Cyclones by 4. And Ryan's going to enjoy this for who knows how long. Meyer got him close as he could, and then let his sophomore fullback finish the job. Iowa State regains the lead, which they once had 10-0 before back-to-back touchdowns by the Redhawks. And sophomore fullback from Warville, Iowa, Ryan Cook, finishes an 8-play, 71-yard drive.
Yeah, Cook, you always love to reward at fullback that's been working hard the whole game. I'm convinced, Bill, fullbacks come out of the game, you know, you measure them, they're probably an inch shorter than they start the game from taking on those linebackers head on.
Red Hawk return to the 23 by Brandon Murphy. And nearly 13 minutes still to go in the Independence Bowl. First meeting ever between these two, looks like.
What's up, Katie? What's up, Katie?
We're headed for a terrific finish.
Cook looks like a fullback that would be playing football in the state of Iowa. He looks the part.
These games are usually close.
As a senior, he was a tailback. He rushed for 1,564 yards, 22 touchdowns. And I'm telling you, when you're used to getting to do that, it takes a real man to come and be unselfish and be mainly a blocker for your football team. And that's what he's been doing.
Well, at last, Michael Larkin gets a catch and extends his NCAA record. That's now 50 consecutive games with a catch. 3 more than anybody else in college football history. Of course, they didn't used to play, but 40. Sometimes even if you went to a bowl. But Larkin is the all-time leading receiver in Miami history. Second leader this year, his 56th catch. A game-time decision because of the injuries we discussed in the early morning incident of December 5th. On to the 33-yard line goes Mike Smith.
We talked about the various players that were so impressive. Michael was among them. And I like what he said when he said, look, I was a good man, a good leader.
As we carried it just after it happened, that he will be replaced by his offensive coordinator, Shane Montgomery. That is by a nose, the first down.
You know, more things about Michael Larkin. He's been elected as the team captain. He has 32 touchdown catches. That's second among active players, only to Braylon Edwards of University of Michigan. So, I mean, he's been a big-time player here for a long time.
His career very much entwined with that of Ben Roethlisberger. Roomed together 3.5 years. Larkin originally a walk-on, leaves as a legend. First down from the 33. All the way near midfield, Ryan Robinson. Nice job on the broken tackle. And 16 more yards and another Red Hawk first down.
Ryan Robinson is the kind of guy that just scares you to death. If you're a coach or a player on the other side, you don't want him. And this is a little, what's called a clothespin out cut. He reverses, goes back out. The ball's thrown perfectly.
Betts is again on target as Ryan D.
Very easy, and he's getting good looks down the field. He's getting some protection up front, and all of a sudden you see the chains moving with regularity. Iowa State needs to create some pressure.
Up to 211 yards. He has 4 300-yard games, including against Toledo in the MAC title game. Scrambling, and then is that picked off inbounds by Tyson Smith? Almost.
Well, and you know, he's pointing to himself there because Josh Betts knows he should have tucked the ball and picked up 4 or 5 yards. He had a clear lane to pick up some yards, and now all of a sudden you're facing 3rd and long. He's going to escape the pocket. He doesn't have a clean look down the field. Just take the yards there and set up a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. Risk an interception as well.
I think Smith out of bounds even if he makes that catch on the tip by Henry Poulard. 3rd and 6. They need the 41 of the Cyclones. And they're up against the play clock. Snap just in time. Incomplete. Going to the same area. Hobbs with the coverage on Corey Kirkpatrick.
You have a good shot.
That's right. So important, these little things, and they come with a great deal of experience. When to turn it up and run, when to try to toss it over, and the only way to learn it is just to keep doing it. And that's what's happening with Betts tonight.
Hobbs might have been lucky there to not get flagged. A little bit of grabbing going on at the quarterback position.
Wofsing's had a pretty good night. And signaling for the fair catch at the 11-yard line is Miller. 36-yarder, very well placed. 10:43 to go in the 4th quarter. And Iowa State with the ball, with the 4-point lead, but backed up way near their own goal line this time. But this is a team that literally from day one has had to overcome perceptions and not low expectations, no expectations. Before their first game, they were a home underdog to a 1AA team, a good one, but 1AA Northern Iowa. Yeah. Now that would be either totally demoralizing or it would instill the kind of motivation that I think is actually what happened. It's carried them still to this day. The players still talk about it.
They still talk about it, and they also talk about the loss to Colorado. They went to Colorado. They played well enough. They almost won. Dan McCarney came home, David. He said, you know what? We're going to win some games. And then they managed to pull out one at Baylor, and then they kept on trucking.
Well, and at that point, they were 0-3 in conference, but they drew something out of that ball game. And then the long drive that Bret Meyer led them on against Baylor really turned the lights on.
Meyer with a deep heave, and again he went for Davis. This would have been a much tougher grab, and he can't bring this one in.
You know, it was that Colorado game, as you said, Bill, where they really play going on. Something going. They had some gas in the tank for the stretch run as they're taking a look, and there's some contact down the field. Hand play going on between cornerback and wide receiver.
Well, here's what I wonder. I wonder why those deep balls are not heading toward Todd Blythe. Todd Blythe, number one, I've seen him in action. He catches those deep balls. And right now, John Davis is struggling. You go to your other guy. Give him a shot. He's in man coverage, too.
Blythe averages 22 yards per catch. Hicks on the move with a first down and plenty more. Out of bounds at the 30. First down plus 9. Gain of 16.
That takes a lot of guts, Bill, to call a drop play in that situation. Nice call by Barney Cotton.
That's 100 yards tonight. That's 1,003 yards on the season for Stevie Hicks.
You know what that is? And I mean this sincerely. That's Barney Cotton being an offensive line coach. He's the coordinator, yes, but he's also an O-line coach, and he knows that his big guys are having a little problem with protection, so he lets them steer those guys up the field and cuts loose with the draw.
Congratulations to Stevie, sophomore from Omaha. Now it's back to Meyer, and Meyer is out of bounds near midfield. Let's get an update from the studio and Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, working our way toward the inside bowl. Derek Anderson and Oregon State getting set to take aim at Notre Dame. Kickoff is going to be at 57.
Stay right here with us in Shreveport, where we're headed toward maybe slam bang finish. 9.5 minutes to go. Iowa State trying to protect a 4-point lead. They have a first down at their 46.
There might be some viewers in those home markets that want to stay with this kid.
To the 45-44 of Miami. 10 more yards.
This is shaping up like a heck of a finish right here.
It is. It's two football teams that are very determined to win this game. And an Iowa State team that only averaged 2.9 yards per carry in running the football this year, but they're doing a marvelous job against the front of this Miami football team, including some outstanding linebackers in Nande, Rehage, and Beasing. Getting the job done, moving it on the ground, eating the clock up.
I don't know what they've done to Sab, but we haven't called Nande's name yet. On the slant off tackle, Greg Coleman, another fullback, who had not touched the ball all year. Almost like Ryan Cook.
So this is not a big defense up front. And I think this Miami defense, Bill, is getting worn down some, especially with the running of Meyer, the play action, and then some of the running from Meyer. And I think this defense has been on the field a bit here in the second half.
One of the surprising things about handing the ball to Cook and Coleman, the two fullbacks, is that they have not handled it, and this is not a time you want to put it on the ground.
Coleman, a true freshman, gets the first down. Back down to Meyer. That starts as if it may be an option, but it ends up looking like Meyer was never going to do anything but keep it all the way. And he keeps for barely a yard this time. Again, those of you looking for the Notre Dame Oregon State Insight Bowl kickoff, you'll get those of you in those televised areas near Notre Dame, near Oregon State, out to Phoenix, where they have a kickoff scheduled for 57 minutes after the hour. About 7 minutes from now, they'll get started at the bottom. Back to Hicks. And some strong running. by Stevie Hicks, 6'2", 215-pounder. His best game this year was 156 in the win over K-State. That included the game-winning touchdown, the first win since '88 in Manhattan.
Yeah, he really had a breakout game against Kansas State. Jumped on the scene, but look at the ball security. Went 14,000 yards, over 3,000 touches, and believe it or not, coming into this season, that number was much better. 6 fumbles this year. He got 99 through 2003, almost miraculous numbers taking care of the football.
And around Davis. They said he'd have a chance to make a statement tonight, and they get him the ball on the end around, and he gets him the first down. They've tried him a couple of times deep through the air. He dropped a sure touchdown pass. Barney Cotton in the huddle said, keep your head up. Keep your eyes open, John Davis. You're still going to have a chance to have an impact on this game.
And I know we're starting to sound like a broken record, but you talk about impressive young men. Matt Pusateri, number 19 right here, leading tackler for the Miami team. That looked like it might go down the sideline for a big play, maybe even a touchdown, but Matt was there to make the play.
Back now to Hicks, driven back. At best, no gain.
Speaking of Nande,
now we can talk about the Nigerian nightmare. His name in Nigerian means God's gift. That is not what running backs think of it.
He was throwing Hicks around like a free weight on this play.
Yeah, and Hicks is running like a man possessed. That's not just an ordinary running back that Nande's manhandling there. Hicks has been running through people, over people, by people. He's had a great night, but not when Turner gets his hands on him at the line of scrimmage.
At the 32.
200-yard rushers for the Cyclones. 117 for Meyer, 112 for Hicks. Meyer throwing to Davis, incomplete. Well, they keep giving him chances through the air. 3rd and 11.
The ball just ate up Davis. I mean, this is perfect execution from the quarterback. You're in a tight ball game. You're trying to come up with a touchdown and maybe put this game away. And you'd like to have a little bit of better effort out of your wide receiver.
Where is Todd Blythe? Where is number 1? The leading receiver on the team, averaging over 22 yards a catch, 9 touchdowns. He's non-existent in the game.
His 3 catches, just 42 yards. He leads all freshmen in the country, 72 yards per game. Meyer again incomplete. This one for Mylan Moses. First time he's gone for Moses. 4th and 11.
Well, Bret Meyer had Blythe open past the chains on this, and this was not a good decision. Look at Blythe is uncovered. He's just going to break off the route. He's in a big void. All this room laterally to work with, and all Meyer had to do was simply find him.
That is impossible to understand. With the relationship those two have had all year, how he's not looking for him tonight. Off the side of the foot, Blankenship gets the roll. Gets a perfect roll, in fact, and it's killed at the 1 by Ryan Baum. 31 yards, right where Blankenship wanted it. And he deserves a congrats. Red Hawks down 4, 99 yards away, 5:33 remaining in the Independence Bowl. About to send you for the opening kickoff in Phoenix between Notre Dame and Oregon State in the Inside Bowl. Those of you staying with us, we will keep you updated on Notre Dame and Oregon State through our conclusion here in Shreveport. 1st and 10 Red Hawks. They are 99 yards away and down 4. They have all 3 of their timeouts. And they start with a short toss. Ryan Robinson breaks away. what looked like it might get him 2 yards, gets him up to the 8-yard line. 7 big yards because they can finally breathe a little bit.
What a great player Ryan Robinson is. What a great player. He could hardly walk at practice day before yesterday. He's out there on an ankle that's bothering him. He should be dead to rights right here. No thanks. Drag, strength, agility, balance. Good gracious. He's terrifying if you're not on his side.
Iowa State with 200-yard rushers tonight for the first time since November 18th, 2000, when Ennis Haywood and Mike Wagner did it. Hicks over 1,000, the 8th time for an Iowa State back to top 1,000 under Ben McCartney in 10 years. Smith with a first down to the 16. Smith with the second Miami touchdown right before the blocked extra point, which ensures that they have to get another touchdown.
You know, for all great offenses, when you're trailing a game late inside 5 minutes, there's a feeling that goes on in the huddle. Everybody knows that the game's on the line. And I think that the focus and the intensity level really kind of heightens in this situation for offenses that know how to move the football. It'll be interesting to see if Betts and company can get the chains moving with the game on the line.
And they keep doing it, chipping away. A little miscommunication this time as Robinson breaks off the pattern and Betts throws it about 10 yards deeper. But it does stop the clock at 4:07 to go. Our Burger King stat of the game: Miami just 69 yards rushing. That's barely half what they average. But this Iowa State rushing defense is their best since World War II. Average giving up 146 per game on the ground. Way better than that tonight. That's on 2nd and 10. Caught, and a first down for Robinson. Gain of 11.
Well, some of the things that go unseen with the quarterback that are so important are the feet and the timing. And when you watch Josh Betts, he's got pretty nice feet for being 6'3", and he threw that last ball with nice timing as his wide receiver came over.
He did, David. He also he's enjoyed very good protection over the last quarter or so. That was not the case in the first half.
Just as soon as we finish, everybody out to Phoenix, where Notre Dame and Oregon State are just getting underway. Going deep, incomplete. Larkin asking for a flag. 2nd and 10.
DeAndre Jackson, that was an outside move with the pump fake, and I just don't think Larkin is 100%. And usually when you get a pump, an arm fake, and a hitch and go like that, Larkin's going to create some separation. DeAndre Jackson was in his back pocket.
Larkin with only 1 catch tonight, but that does keep his streak going. The NCAA record of 50 consecutive games with at least 1 catch. 3 more games than anybody in college football history. That's sacked. Big loss back to the 16. Tyson Smith.
And that's with a 3-man rush. Tyson Smith and Sean Moorhead, number 40, rushing 3 against 5 blockers. Absolutely inexcusable by the offensive line. This is what your worst nightmare is as an offensive lineman. You just don't get beat that way. You double those guys. What happens is they got 3 on the nose guard. That's a mistake. That's a strategic error. There's a call that should put 1 guard on each of the defensive ends, or 1 guard on the nose and 2 on the other defensive end, and you don't let that happen.
Yeah. 3-man rush. Both ends got to the quarterback.
First Miami timeout with 3:22 left in Shreveport. All right, Reason, they are just getting underway. We have 3:22 remaining and a 3rd and 20 facing the Redhawks. 3-man rush, plenty of time. Betts hangs one deep, incomplete. intended for Josh Williams.
David, they're dropping 8, and there's just no place to go with the football. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. And the two receivers that had anywhere near the 20 yards depth were right in the same area down the near sideline. You know, I think in that situation, you get 3 or 4 wides in the game, and you try to get them vertical up the field and let Betts take advantage of his arm strength. Got to get more receivers into the act down the football field in that situation. Still plenty of time. 2 timeouts for Miami of Ohio, rather. But, you know, they're going to have to come up with a big stop here defensively.
Wapsing not had one blocked all year. But early tonight, the Cyclones blocked their 9th kick of the year. Will they come after him here? Didn't get close. Excellent kick. Miller runs away. This is going to be maybe, well, definitely his biggest tonight. One of his biggest ever.
Huge mistake by Miller. Huge mistake. You must catch that football. You line up deep. The kid's been kicking the ball very well, so you get it 45. You drop back 9 yards, and you fair catch the football. You don't let it hit the ground.
That really changes the complexion of this game.
Oh, man.
And gives Miami really a shot here down the stretch.
It goes 67 yards. And back on their own 15 now. Bret Meyer and Iowa State taking over. Meyer has kept it 21 times for 117 yards.
Miami needs to take their timeout right now. And they did.
He has taken a pounding in the process. A lot of the punishment doled out by Marcus Johnson.
I think he's tough as a boot. I'm not sure he worries about it. I don't think he cares about the punishment. He is so slight when you meet him. He looks lean, but he doesn't look as muscular as he obviously is. But he's got 100 yards rushing, and he's just really taken this game under control himself.
You talk about the weather in the North Division of the Big 12, especially late October into November, and running the football at 6'3", 205 becomes a bit dicey as a proposition. Well, you know, when the weather gets cold and you're taking those hits.
I'm 205, and I don't think he's 205. I think he's more like 190 pounds. He's very slight.
I agree.
And lean, but man, is he tough. He's a tough guy. I like him. And if his receivers had given him any help at all tonight, and if he had looked up, his main man, number 1, Todd Blythe, they might not have to run this clock out there to keep the ball away.
When you think about it, a freshman quarterback coming up with wins against Nebraska and Kansas State, KSU on the road down the stretch, and he has his team 3 yards away from going to the Big 12 championship game. I mean, Bret Meyer, what a performance in his freshman year.
And this Iowa State defense has held Miami to 289 yards total, and that's like 140 yards off their average.
Hicks on second down. Look out, Stevie. Up the right sideline and finally angled out. For a while there, looking like a put-it-away touchdown. He settles for 41 yards. Alfonso Hodge prevents a touchdown.
That was a great run. That was a great effort. The one thing you'd like to have seen him do is to take a slide when he realizes he's going to be knocked out of bounds. About here, you see experienced backs hit the ground, take a slide, and let that clock start again after the first down is marked.
1 yard shy of his best game now at 155 yards. Meyer pulls it down and keeps it for another 5 or 6.
Meyer did exactly what I was just talking about. Now, he wasn't happy with himself because he thought he should have gained more, but he got on the ground, and what he did is he forced Miami to use their last timeout.
Although they're not using it.
He came awfully close to fumbling the football. You saw him shaking his hand after that play on the fake. He almost lost the football. Was able to secure it again.
So this snap can come with right at 2 minutes to go as the Redhawks sit on their last timeout. It'll be a 2nd and 5. Back to Hicks. Hicks now with his high game, surpassing his 156 against K-State. Let's again check in with Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, inside bowl. Notre Dame's been pulling out all the stops. They've already run a halfback pass, but forced to punt it away here to Sammy Straughter of Oregon State. And Sammy, and I mean that, reaching out, filling the bob with joy for all of the Beaver fans and getting it inside the 30. Still scoreless, 10 and change to go in the first quarter. We'll get you out there in a bit.
So what I think at halftime, if you heard him, Ron Franklin and Mike Godfrey brought up a real issue for Notre Dame. With all they have been through, how much do they have in their tank for a bowl game?
Now, emotionally, I think they're running on empty. And that's an intriguing matchup. That Oregon State team was really picked to do some things. Derek Anderson, big, talented quarterback out of the Portland area. Things never really developed for that football team. I think that loss down at LSU, the missed extra points, really took something out of them.
Well, it is now a career night for the sophomore tailback. Stevie Hicks scored the first touchdown and had plenty more where that came from. 27 carries tonight for a career high 159 yards.
And as you'll recall, Dave, we were told that he was a plugger. He's just a good hard-nosed runner, but he's a lot more than that. He's made people miss. He's darted. He's exploded.
Now they give to the fullback. And this is going to be very close for the first down.
Yeah, this is a play of the game here, and he may just be short. Big fourth down decision coming up if they didn't pick up the first down.
Ryan Cook gets his only 3 carries of the season tonight. Saved it up for the bowl game. Where they spot it, boy, it looks like it is inches short. Definitely close enough for the measurement.
Well, you saw the look in Coach McCarney's face. He really wanted that one. Cook picks up the first down. This ball game's
it's over. If that's the case, with no timeouts, they can take a knee and run out the clock. You can get about 1 minute and 50 seconds off the clock if they have no timeouts.
But that isn't the case. They're short, and Iowa State, this is a tough decision. I think they'll go because it's a bowl game. But if you
put it on them, you put it on your linemen, you put it on your QB, you run the QB sneak.
I agree.
You make the first down if you want to win the bowl game.
I agree, but from Miami's perspective here, you make the stop, and you've got a relatively short field, and over a minute, close to 1.5 minutes, actually over 1.5 minutes, to come down the field and win this ball game.
This is going to be very interesting here.
But they only need 6 or 8 inches. So if Bret Meyer executes the Bill Curry quarterback sneak, the game's over.
What Dave's talking about, folks, is if you get your pads down and get behind that big center and drive your legs.
Well, I don't think so. I do not think so.
He lost yards. He lost yards on that.
He's up too high. He didn't get his pads down. He didn't get behind that big rear end, that center and that guard. And he got stopped, and we have us a football game with 1 minute and 23 on the clock.
Well, what do you know?
I still like the call, though. I still think Dan McCarney did the right thing.
Yep.
Oh, that's never a bad call with a 6'3", 205-pound quarterback. But the heavies won the battle up front for Miami.
2 things happened. Vandersand in the center, and Seth Zier, the right guard, got stuck. They didn't get down there low enough and get movement. And then Bret Meyer got his pads up, and that's how you get knocked back and stoned for no gain. And now they got a problem.
They got 65 yards to go. No timeouts, 1:23. Betts can run it if he wants. Throw on the run. For R.J. Corbin, no, out of bounds, incomplete.
Wow, and Josh Betts had him wide open on the sideline. Take a little bit off that throw, Josh. You have a completion. You've got a man on the sidelines. Instead, I mean, Bill, he put too much velocity on that ball. Make that an easy throw.
65 yards away.
Plenty of time here, 1:15. Clock stops on a first down in college football. As a quarterback, don't take a sack. Don't throw to receivers short of the chains, and you can always stop the clock. You got to get the ball beyond the chains.
43-3 under Hittner, leading, entering the fourth quarter as they were tonight. Another throw on the run. This one is caught, and Larkin with the first down before he's out of bounds at the 46. As we again check in on the inside bowl. All right, everybody heads that way when we finish here. 1:06 remaining, 1st and 10. To the other sideline, and Ellis Hobbs with the interception. Hobbs may run it back. Bret drives him out at the 10-yard line, and the senior MVP seals it away for the Cyclones. In style, his 5th interception of the year, brings it back 41 yards for good measure.
Missed throw by Betts. Betts missed that throw 2 yards to the right, led his receiver too far up the field. He was looking for Clemens. Bad throw.
Dan Kearney, sensing just the 2nd bowl victory in the history of the program, and injured is Chris Fessel, offensive tackle for Miami.
You never pull for teams when you're in the business that we're in the broadcast. We pull for good football games, but you can pull for young men, and Ellis Hobbs is one of the guys that you just have to pull for in life. He's such a fine example of what you're supposed to be.
Right now, I'm pulling for Dan McCarney to get the heck out of the way.
Yeah, these guys
look to get really, really cool.
He ought to hear incoming right now.
That was a stealth mission right there.
Nobody warned him. They love him. What a job they've done, this coaching staff. Barney Cotton coming over from Nebraska. John Skladany with the defense that's kept them in virtually every game, including this one. Did a marvelous job of shutting down a highly potent Miami offense.
There has been a 15-yard mark-off, we assume, for celebration. But it does not matter. Miami out of timeouts. All the Cyclones have to do is snap it a couple of times, and they can celebrate just the 2nd win in a bowl game in school history. They won the Insight 4 years ago over Pittsburgh, 37-29. They were here 3 years ago and lost on a controversial missed kick, ruled to be just over the upright, when Iowa State claimed it was just inside the upright. 14-13 to Alabama. Capital One players of the game: Meyer throws for 114, runs for 122. Hicks runs for a career high 159 and a touchdown. And again, the first time since November 18th, 2000, the Cyclones have 200-yard rushers. They also have, for just the 2nd time in school history, a win in a bowl game, as they take their first meeting ever with the Miami Redhawks, 17-13. For a team that started life this year, a home underdog to a 1AA opponent, what a sweet 7-win season it ends up as, with a co-championship in the Big 12 North. So again, the winner of the 2004 Independence Bowl, the Iowa State Cyclones, 17-13. This has been a presentation of
Iowa State in the Independence, Terry Hepner's final game with the Redhawks, but they like the new guy just fine.
My honor tonight to introduce to you the next head coach at Miami University, Shane Montgomery.
And so they stay right at home and promote from within. The new head coach out there, first quarter action, no score. Iowa State with a 2nd and goal situation. They run the option. Stevie Hicks, nice block from Ben Barkema and from Ryan Cook. Goes in for the touchdown, 7-0 Iowa State. Hicks had 159 yards. 2nd quarter, 10-0 Iowa State. Miami, Josh Betts. Right there, the completion, 28-yard touchdown, 10-7. 3rd quarter, Iowa State down 13-10, 3rd and 9. Bret Meyer drops back, steps up, throws it to the wide-open John Davis, who alligator arms it. Davis dropping the sure touchdown. Now 4th quarter, 13-10 Miami. Iowa State driving again. Meyer decides to keep it himself this time. Goes 23 yards Meyer over 100 yards, both passing and rushing in the game. Next play, Cook runs it in for the 1-yard touchdown. Iowa State up 17-13. Minute 15 left. Miami still down 17-13. Betts complete to Michael Larkin for the first down. Larkin, his first game back after being stabbed back on December 4th. Man, very next play, Betts is picked off by Ellis Hobbs. That clinches the win for Iowa State. They take the Independence Bowl 17-13. Here's Coach Dan McCarty.
It's only fitting that our most valuable player made the biggest play of the game tonight, Ellis Hobbs. He's a tremendous young man. As great a player as he is, Alex, he's even a better young man.
Independence Bowl living up to the billing. A little Gatorade shower right there. Once again, 17-13, Cyclones win.